face? Yeah.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of talk about this Discord. I thought this Discord thing wasn't anything new.
No, the face scan sucks.
It's not new for the UK and Australia, but it is going to be new for the rest of the world.
Oh, didn't mute the laptop.
I was the problem.
Jeez.
Again?
I'm sorry.
It's the first time I've done it in months. It's usually Adam.
Yeah. That sucks.
You gotta do what I do, which is that you just turn down the sound on your whole system, so even if it's playing, nobody knows.
I usually live my life muted, but
that's enforced, not by choice.
Yeah.
True. If you can come a little wider on the
come in for the abuse section of the podcast already.
Yeah. Anyway, hello, welcome. We're in the pre-show of the Full Nerd. We're going to talk about PC topics. We have one Dr. Ian Cutress here at the table,
noted potato expert.
Oh yeah, we should talk about the potatoes.
Potatoes,
the best time
do
and
you
place.
have a tier ranked list of potato types?
I do not.
Like what's S tier?
Why
for
is
you?
it? Yeah.
There we go.
It's I'm in a curly fry.
Yeah, but
right now,
are we talking about russets? Are we talking about Idaho? Like, what kind of do they grow potatoes in England?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Have you heard of this place called Ireland that's right next door?
But the whole point of Ireland in the
Irish
relationship
potatoes?
with potatoes is they didn't have potatoes. That's why there was a famine.
Oh no!
No.
Wow!
Irish
Well, you're just going straight for violence today.
Well, no, I mean he said he brought up Ireland and potatoes.
Also,
I know, but you could have chosen many other threads on that.
You know what's infuriating right now?
What
is the obsession with hot honey?
I don't understand that either.
Yeah,
It was a thing like
South
10 years ago.
I assume it's like the Dubai candy. It's like just the current TikTok trend, and I'm not associated with that.
Hot honey.
Yeah.
Elena, do you like hot honey?
I don't know what it is.
Is it,
dare I ask?
It's honey that's spicy.
Is it?
Like,
I was gonna say it's
yeah.
spicy honey. I didn't know if it was hot, warm, or spicy.
It's chili infused honey basically.
Why would you do that? The bees wait,
like
hold on.
Sweet and sour.
Do they do this by starting at the bee point, or do they add it after the bees have
You
finished
don't need to
their
ask
work?
questions. I searched on Google for Irish potatoes, and it gave me an Irish potato candy.
Right.
Do you know what this is? I don't know what this is.
I do not know what that is.
It
But
says it's a popular no-bake confession, especially around St. Patrick's Day, made to look like a potato but containing no actual potatoes.
So search for TAYTO.
Wait, there's no potatoes in that?
Yeah, it says it's
is that the AI
it features
summary?
a creamy sweet filling of
the
cream
AI
cheese,
summary.
butter, powdered sugar, and coconut rolled in cinnamon and mimics a potato
They
skin.
don't even label it anymore.
Well, but why would they even make it look like potatoes?
It probably has white glue in there since it's the AI summary.
So some of the most famous chocolate biscuits in the UK now no longer have enough chocolate in them, so they have to call them chocolate flavored.
Are they carob or something? Is that what they're doing? Is it like energy bars?
No. This is like the brands are like Penguin and Club.
Yeah.
Right? No, they're just like little chocolate biscuits. That you just.
They're cookies. We would call
cookies.
them here.
Yeah. I was about to clarify.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want chocolate in my biscuits.
Biscuit cooked twice.
Would you like?
Why is it cooked twice? You make it cook it twice to get all the flavor out? Is that the
bis?
thing? Yeah.
It's what is it? Is that a Latin root?
Yeah, bis.
Yeah,
It means
bis.
to do something.
It's like Triscuits. You know the story about Triscuits?
I don't know. Are they supposed to cut down on dirty, sinful
It's a
behavior
try.
like cereal?
Oh no. That's what people think. They think it's 3 times cooked. No, it's cooked with electricity.
Oh.
Wow, really?
There's
Rather
a
than
famous
heat?
internet story about somebody who
Or
actually
fire?
went to research this.
Yeah.
Because the PR person at the company didn't know.
I went to the Cheeto factory once. Or a Cheeto factory. I guess
How
there's
was
a
that?
lot of them. There was less eating of Cheetos at the Cheeto factory than I expected, and there were no like elves walking around making
And people didn't have just orange fingertips.
Everybody
Wait,
was coated in orange. It was Oompa
Expected
Loompa.
or hoped for?
Look, you know that Simpsons where Homer imagines what the world of chocolate is like? I imagined that the Cheeto factory was going to be like that, and I would be like, and there'd be Cheetos everywhere. I'd be like, oh my God, I love Cheetos so
I'm
much.
moving.
Cheetos have invaded the UK now.
Really?
Yes.
The puffy ones or the
They
hard
weren't there
ones?
before.
The hard ones.
The hot
Did
ones.
you not have them before?
No, we have Watsits,
Oh.
which are soft.
I like the Canadians do Hawkins cheesies, I think, which were pretty good, but a little salty for me.
What's its? What's its?
WOTSITS.
Baked cheese flavored baked corn puffs. Oh,
Yes.
it's Lay's. So
Well, Walkers.
yeah,
It's all Lay's eventually.
yeah.
We're
I
coming.
mean, it looks
So-
like a Lay's emblem, right?
So we may have had Cheetos in the UK for decades, but now they share the same shelf space as all the other chip brands. They didn't used to be. They used to be in the American only section.
Well, you like to separate people by their point of origin?
Yes.
Wow. Okay then.
We learn from the best.
We don't have an
no.
English food section in most of our grocery stores. That's unusual here. You have to go to the special grocery store for that.
Huh.
Yeah, what's up?
The history of this Watsits thing is interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
cool. Hello, welcome everybody. Pre-show, we're here. We did it. What time is it? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's about time to start that show.
How are the hamsters?
I don't know. How are the hamsters?
They're rolling.
They're rolling.
That stats bar is looking good.
Yeah,
Drop
down the
frames
hill.
to
You're
zero.
gonna have to.
You,
gonna
and,
love
you
it.
and your gigabit internet connection.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Well, we are a
when it
place of
works.
business, sir.
When it works.
Just
I have
the
faster
endless-
connection at home.
Gigabit
10 gig.
Ethernet, and
Have I ever told you? Oh,
wait,
Elena's gone.
Elena
She doesn't have 10 gig.
No,
yeah.
she has garbage internet at home.
Yeah.
I didn't
Now
touch
she's back.
anything. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah. Zoom was like, not today, Satan.
Okay.
Or
She's
Santa.
still there.
True. Sometimes
Oh.
they do get a little spicy.
You know what? I just realized I forgot to wear anything red for Valentine's. We had talked about that, and then
We did.
stuff happened.
I don't celebrate
so I
the Valentines.
wasn't thinking this morning.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood.
I'm cleaning the
just like
garage this
excuses
year
to
on Valentine's Day.
celebrate.
My wife and I had a big long talk about what we're going to do for Valentine's Day, and then at the end we were like, the nicest thing we could do for each other is clean the garage. So we're cleaning the garage.
Together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
My hope is that we'll do first one and then the other because it's like,
Whose stuff is it though?
look, there's equal amounts of
Wait.
stuff,
Wait.
different levels of messiness. How's that?
Did you just intimate that you have two garages?
No. What do you think? I live in
You said
California.
first one, then the other. So
First one
that's very-
person, then the other person was was the intent.
I was like,
there.
dang, what kind of house do you have, Will?
Oh, so one garage, two doors.
Yeah, it's 1,000 square feet of glory in Pacifica, California, Elena. It's not a big house.
You know, that's 1,000 square feet more than I have a garage, sir.
Actually,
We have no. The whole house is 1,000 square feet.
Okay,
just
I was
be
about to say,
clear.
I was like, that's
That includes the garage.
Davina. That's no.
One toilet. That's the real issue if you
Yeah.
want to talk about the
Okay.
problems.
Anyway, we should start the show.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the intro?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
we
please. Let's get to that. All
For
right.
the love of God.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. In this episode of The Full Nerd, Dr. Ian Cutress tells you why you're wrong about so many things. Yeah.
Like
I'm sorry, I put it on you. And welcome everyone to episode 385 of The Full Nerd. We should really start planning for episode 400, but I'll leave that for another day.
It's 15 weeks out. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Oh yes, The Full Nerd is the weekly PCWorld's weekly podcast about PC DIY
Nailed
PC
it.
hardware technology. Look at this. I'm on a roll.
Truly
I'm your
incredible
fill-in
work.
host, Adam Patrick Murray, but I'm not alone. On the screen here is one Elena E. Hello, Elena.
Hello, that's me.
You are taking up the entirety of the screen.
I know.
There you go. At the table here with me, I actually have a special guest to my right.
Oh, thanks,
one,
man.
One
Oh.
Dr. Ian Cutress. Hello, Ian.
How's it
Welcome
going,
back.
Adam?
Tech Potato fame. Hello.
I am wearing the merch. for
Yeah,
once.
there you go. Boom. I like it. Oh, and I don't know if you saw, but I put your sticker on the PC back there.
Oh,
You know,
nice.
There you go. Boom. Hey, thanks for being in town and hopping on the show. We got fun stuff to talk about. You think
busy
everybody's wrong? So
No. Just you.
Oh, just me. Okay. Well, there we go. Also, somebody who thinks I'm wrong is one Will Smith.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But not
did
often.
Did you shave or trim?
I trimmed
your-
up the beard.
Yeah,
I trimmed up the
yeah.
mustache because I realized it was shadowing the mouth. So I looked like I looked like Gummy Joe, the old prospector.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm experimenting
Like
with new facial hair grooming techniques.
It left.
to-
Like when you cover up your top lip.
yeah,
you know.
you look.
looks-
I'm a prospector. And
Yeah.
I'm out in the gold hills.
I mean, you would know from where you're from.
Yeah, look. I'm also very old. I was out here during the original gold rush in the late 1890s.
Okay. And then control.
1840s? I don't know.
I wasn't there. You were. You
Sir.
tell me.
Look.
Panning means something different for Will.
Here's the thing. In the U.S., you only get local history if you are for the place that you live at the time. So I know nothing about California history because I grew up in Tennessee.
This is,
Oh, there you go.
This
Boom.
is very apparent, actually.
Yeah, obviously. You don't need.
There
to-
was an earthquake in like 1989. The whole city burned down. and it was caused by some lady's cow.
1989?
Yeah.
I thought it was 1918.
Look, you don't know what year it was. I don't know what year it
I
is.
wasn't
Maybe
there.
Elena does, but we're not asking.
I mean,
her.
she's the native person.
Yeah.
Anyway, also a native, I guess, is controlling verticals, horizontals. We got one, Alex Estevez. Hello.
Howdy, everybody.
Yeah, you're native.
Yes,
to the
indeed.
area.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Native, not indigenous.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure you were from. Well, actually, Elena, are you born in this area as well? I guess I never asked.
Born and
Okay.
raised San Francisco.
Okay, there we go. Just double checking.
I'm one of the rare natives.
Checking my math. We have a packed show. We're going to talk about a lot of subjects, but I do need to unfortunately pump the brakes and share a bit of news at the top of the show. Unfortunately, Willis is no longer working for the company. It's tough times out there. Listen, we're going to miss him. He was for 5 years he had to follow
with
me
your
around
nonsense.
and deal
Say,
with
put up with
my
you.
BS. So I will always appreciate that. Thank you, Willis. He will be hanging out in Discord. Actually, I think he was here in the live chat.
Yep.
So say hi. Tell him how much you appreciate him. Yeah. So I'm going to miss him. It's a bummer.
It sucks.
It sucks, and it's I don't know if you've seen out there, but it's tough times for media. There's a lot of stuff going on, unfortunately. Yeah.
I need another video editor.
Oh, you do? There you go. Yeah. Well, hey, guess what? We know some.
we
We
can
know a
connect
guy.
you with
We know
somebody.
Yeah. He won't let you eat floor candy though. So
Floor candy.
I mean,
if
look,
you find candy on the floor, he won't let you. eat.
here's the thing.
That might be a deal breaker.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You are going to get so sick every time you go to a trade conference now, and you're like, oh man, there's a piece of gum over there.
I'll let you eat anything.
Yeah, Alex doesn't care.
I don't think that's a good thing.
No, it's bad.
I kind of needed somebody,
Yeah.
to help me out. But yeah. Anyway, I mean, all jokes aside, it really does suck. It's a bummer. He was, obviously producer of the show, and like I said, followed me and Gordon around for many years. So it's a bummer. But yeah, we, I guess, continue on with the show and talk about PC topics. the only thing we can do. Starting off with RAM. We're going to start off with the easy spot because everyone's excited to talk about what's going on in the RAM landscape.
Can I just interject
Oh,
before we start?
please.
Because
Is there-
I have a point of order.
Okay.
Because
This is what British people do, huh?
because I am very anal.
Richard's rules apply.
People who follow me on Twitter know that I do this, but I am incessant in calling it DRAM.
But it's not
Rather
just
than
DRAM
RAM.
though.
DRAM what?
Isn't it VRAM as well as affected? All sorts of RAM.
It's mostly DRAM right now.
Oh,
It's
and there goes Elena again.
the joy of Zoom.
What is Zoom up to?
That is weird.
It's it's one of those things where you have multiple types of memory in your computer, and a lot of them are random access. But the one that most people refer to in this issue is DRAM. So I have an upcoming T-shirt that says your computer has many RAMs, but this one, it's a DRAM, and there's a picture of a sheep.
That's terrible. That's
Okay.
really, really bad.
Can't wait to buy one of those.
But I mean,
So
pedantic arguments aside,
Yes.
there's a global RAM pricing crisis.
DRAM.
it's
Seize RAM.
Nope.
it's the whole supply and demand thing, right? Are we short in supply or are we high in demand?
High in demand.
Right, so it's not like when we were in the pandemic where people were scrambling over every single bit they could get. There is what there is, and the stuff that's being produced, it's still more than yesterday.
Yeah.
But there's still memory. It's just there's more people wanting it.
Well-
Although there are variations on how you take that.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, this isn't new news. We're not here to break news about this, but I think there's some misconceptions about what's going on or how this thing could play out. So that's kind of what I wanted to use the floor to address here. I think you just touched on part of it, is that the difference between how much is being produced versus how much people are actually needing it.
It's so there are three main DRAM manufacturers in the world: Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron. There's also another one in China, CXMT. So in terms of new news today, it turns out Dell and HP may be qualifying some of their designs with that memory.
Oh, breaking news.
And
For worldwide use?
mostly for China use.
Oh, okay.
AMD already said at CES they were already in the process of qualifying that memory for laptops.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a diversification of supply.
Okay.
So it's the it depends. Do you consider a fourth player in the market to be of equivalent quality of the other three players? But just getting the tick to make sure it works and it works as intended.
I was going to say, it seems like when we're intensely supply constrained, anything that increases supply is probably
Correct.
good, right?
Even if it's region specific.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
but also I think the other thing I hear people talk about is that it's of lesser quality.
Well, that's the implication.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen anything to that effect.
What
Okay.
and what? How would that actually affect the end user? Lesser quality.
So when you get your memory manufactured, it's like manufacturing CPUs, right? You'll have a wafer with so many modules on it, and some of it will do this frequency, some of it will do that frequency, some of it will do that frequency or that voltage. The way you should interpret lesser quality is if the distribution of performance and endurance
Across all of the production.
across all of the production, or wafer to wafer to wafer, moves towards slower or higher power or less endurance.
When you say less endurance, you mean higher fail rates?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So back when Samsung, when the first SSDs were coming out, or even the first few generations, Samsung was known for taking the top 10% of their manufacturing and using it in their own products. Right, and that's why Samsung has a very strong reputation in storage. The argument is perhaps less so these days.
What about
than it used to
Micron?
be.
Yeah.
Well, so no. So
Crucial.
This is what I was getting into in the first place. We know how much memory is being manufactured, right? Or at least from the analysts, from the investor side. This has all been modeled for years, right? And yeah, okay, sometimes they get it, wrong very slightly, but not wrong to the perception of how wrong it is today, right? The amount that's being manufactured is easily modeled. The demand is also being modeled accurately. Demand, obviously, for AI and data centers has been the big pull here. But we know how many data centers are being built. We know roughly how many servers are being sold, how many GPUs are being sold. I'm talking about the people who track this stuff day to day know, and they usually get it roughly right as well. The problem on top of the demand has been the fact that the distributors, the middlemen, who would get all this memory and then distribute out to all the tier 2s, the tier 3 sellers. So take for example Falcon Northwest, right? We've got a case now where distributors are telling companies like that, because of the volatility of the price, we don't want to stock it anymore. If you want it, you have to go direct.
Which is just because they're worried about buying at a high price and then the price going down in the time before they can sell it and losing a boatload of money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Usually middlemen suck, though. Isn't this
Well,
be a good thing?
So this means now, instead of having, say, 10 people bidding on a lot of memory from Samsung or SK Hynix, you've now got 50 people. And so that's artificially increasing the price even more.
So
than
what
demand.
if? So like,
actually?
yeah.
Stupid question here.
Mhm.
Could me as an end user go bid on some RAM?
how much RAM do you need, Adam?
Well, I'm just saying if I wanted to start up, at
Minimum-
APM memory manufacturer.
AP memory?
AP memory. There
Yeah.
we go. Kind of
Already
like
making your
Gordon
brand
Mullen
better.
Power Supply Company.
If you've got a sufficient minimum order quantity and you're willing to pay the premium.
Okay.
And
I
you
could
and then
have
you
a
can
seat
take
at the
the
table.
chips and put them on the little boards that turn them into the memory, right? Because when you're bidding at this point, you're just buying RAM chips
Yes,
packaged.
correct.
And then you have to put them onto sticks and qualify the sticks, and there's a
Yeah.
whole process.
So say you're an A data, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might have been going through a middleman before, a distributor. You might now have to go direct.
So this is going to impact the small, like the enthusiast memory vendors, the G Skills, the
Correct.
Patriots, the A Datas, the all Corsair, all the folks that make chips,
Correct.
make sticks but not chips necessarily.
So take, for example, G-Skill. G-Skill, very known for having high-performance memory. What they do is they bid on memory that might be average or been slightly above average, and then do a lot more binning on top of that. Some of that may have happened at the distributor level as well. So now they're having to, they're getting a lot more variable product from the memory vendors.
But here's the thing. I've actually been hearing some people talk about this, and I wanted to ask all of us, kind of with a lot of, I love PC building, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to try to min-max your specs and things like that, but
You're a nuts and bolts kind of guy, though, a mechanic.
Well, I mean, well, like a lot of people will look at a motherboard that's $1,000 and be like, all right, well, yeah, I don't need that. It's like, oh yeah, but
There's a few
maybe,
behind you.
Maybe there's people who, I just got sent some. Maybe you want something like that. Like
It's
cool, go for it.
Part of the problem is people say, there's a shortage,
Mhm.
but if you have the money, you can buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly.
As
There you
opposed
go.
to the pandemic situation, which was like
Even if you
no
had money.
amount of money you could
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
certain
Correct,
pizza. Like you couldn't get a webcam in 2020.
Well, but the thing is, for most of us who are building desktop PCs, who are either gaming or work or a mix of both, do we really need the best performing RAM? Like, I feel like I keep seeing now these tests because people are like, "Ooh, I'm going to test on weaker RAM or like DDR4 versus DDR5 again," and a lot of people are like, you're missing out on percentage points." But
This might be an age thing. As I've gotten, so I used to be an extreme overclocker, right? We're literally going sub-zero, liquid nitrogen on the components, memory included. Now, I just turned 40. I want stability in my life.
So Ian,
So I'm running at JDEC, which is the base
That's
specification.
insanity.
well, also then you don't have to pay for anything other than JEDEC speed,
Correct.
right? I
So-
mean, and
but
when
your
we
RAM doesn't have sick lights or anything on it, though.
well, it could.
Correct.
The lights make it go faster. We all know that.
It's a good thing, maybe a bad thing. Well, but also remember when I first met you and we
Yeah.
built that first PC, and I was
Way
like,
back in 2022.
I was like, hey, do you want to go with the safe option or do you want to go with this? I don't even remember what the speed
So
was at the time.
But back when there was a $10 difference, it's great. You would go for the higher one.
Yeah,
just
because you can always turn it down.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm old. We've established this in the pre-show.
Yeah, congratulations on turning 40,
Yeah,
just
exactly,
like Ian.
just like Ian. In the old days at Maximum PC, I used to get a lot of grief because people would be like, "Hey, you're at this enthusiast magazine about overclocking and stuff. Why aren't you overclocking?" It's like, well, because I need my computer to work all the time.
Yep.
And I got grief for a decade about that. But everybody reaches this point. Almost everyone reaches this point. I'm so glad that Ian has hit it's like hitting the Wilford Brimley Cocoon threshold where you're older than Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. Like this is a moment in every young man's
That's
life.
a reference.
Yeah, I guess I didn't.
Wilford Brimley was
I never-
surprisingly young when he was in Cocoon. That's the joke. Is he was like 52. He looks like he's 100. The point is,
Oh yeah, this guy.
yeah, Wilford Brimley,
Ah,
the
yeah,
diabetes guy.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
So-
okay, that's where I know him from.
So he's a character. He's in a business.
Oh, he's in the thing. Yeah,
he's in.
That's what I know him from.
He's like a Slim Pickens of his era or whatever. But anyway,
Oh, he's born in Salt Lake City. I didn't know. that.
Okay, stop
Anyway,
with the Wilford
sorry.
Brimley facts. The point is, eventually we all reach a point where the computer is more about doing things than doing the computer things, and that's the moment that Ian's hit with his JEDEC memory and his baby computer.
It's
for
also
babies.
when the computer's sufficient enough
yeah
for the workload I'm doing, right?
yeah like
Or the games that I'm playing these days, they're not AAAs.
if you started out on a Pentium 60, everything feels real fast now. It turns out,
All right. Well,
Except Windows 11.
except
Okay,
for well, I mean that's a whole other.
Yeah.
We can have a podcast about that.
real quick, I've heard from the old guys. I want to make sure to hear from Elena. Where are you at in that cycle? Have you do you prefer stability? Are you still like, man, I still want to get the fastest RAM I can?
I think I'm just team practical. I always have been, right? So I want it to be stable.
Yeah.
If I can get more for my money and, squeak out performance from that, great. But I've never been one that like chases overclocking and trying to push it to the limits anyway. So I don't know if I'm actually doing anything that different.
So
when it
it's
comes
just
to this.
Is this just making all the younger people hit 40 early to be like, hey, you know what? Actually, you can't afford the high stuff. So guess what? Stability, appreciate it.
It's also overclocking on CPUs. The capability, the variance has changed. So people have focused a lot more on
Undervolting.
memory these days.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Right, to that extent. And at the end of the day, yes, it does help with certain tests. It does help, again, with edge cases or maybe your favorite. It's. I think I've said before. I'm more than happy to go to a LAN party on a dual core netbook if the game I'm playing is fun, because I'm there for the fun. I'm not necessarily, for
that's
the,
what
for,
I've
for-
always said too.
for the
Yeah.
graphics fidelity. But on the memory side, so AMD obviously just launched the 9850X3D.
Yeah.
And we saw the reviews go live.
I reviewed it in 90 seconds. That was that much to review.
It's so I've actually hired one of my old Anantech writers, and his review is almost done. And I'm just going through the spec list. So AMD supplied that CPU with a motherboard and memory.
Same for us, yeah.
Right. The memory they went for is literally the minimum amount of memory, 2 16 gig sticks, DDR5 6000.
It's not the minimum amount of memory.
Can you buy 8 gig sticks in DDR5 still?
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know about still, but you could.
This is what I mean. It's not, it was an X870E gaming carbon Wi-Fi, so still a high-end motherboard. But so sometimes normally these companies, AMD, Intel, they want to put their best foot forward, so they would put in some high-speed memory, some high-performance motherboard.
Look, they're not made of money.
They sent me G-Skill 6000.
Yeah,
32 gigs, so two sticks 16, and I think it was CL28.
You can save a lot of money by doing a 16 gig Corsair kit. It's on Amazon right now. Vengeance DDR5 16 gig, 2 8 gig sticks, 5200 CL40, $252. It's a bargain.
Okay,
so it's actually a little over JetX, so it's a little overclocked.
So my hotel's right next to Essential Computers here.
Yeah, the local chain of PC hardware
in the Bay, and they had two 48 gig sticks for $1,000.
It's a deal.
So $10 a gigabyte. I will say, funny story. While I was there, they increased the price of the Nvidia GPUs.
Like you saw the guy switching out the price tag.
Literally, you were in the store and you just saw them like changing the signs?
Correct.
Was it like in the Walmart ads where the numbers fell off and the numbers underneath are lower? It went down, right?
No.
Because prices get cheaper.
No. They literally took the price list down and put a new price list up while I was there.
Wow.
I mean, it was for the RTX Pro 6000. So
how much of an increase? We talking like 2%, 5%?
It went up from $8,100 to $8,500.
I mean, if you're willing to pay $8,100, you're probably willing to pay $8,500, right?
Did you ask them how many times a day or week they changed the prices?
No, but they did say if you want the lower price, you can have it.
Because you were there before they.
Because I was there and I saw it.
You're like, dude, I just saw the old one. All right.
Yeah, and my credit card self-immolated in my pocket.
You could have just you could have arbitraged that. You could have taken the lower price and then stood outside and be like, "Hey man, you want a cheap video card?"
Actually,
the 3 homeless dudes.
Yeah.
Wow. Actually, I guess I didn't realize that they sold Pro series. I thought it was just all consumer stuff.
No, Pro. It's
they used to sell Titans back when that was the Pro-est Pro.
It's the same with Micro Center. They have a very small section of enterprisey.
Oh, I guess I just never go over there.
So anyway, is it going to get better soon?
Yeah. You told me at CES to appreciate what I have.
Before we get to making Adam sad at CES, which I heard about immediately, by the way. Why are people not just spinning up? Like RAM is 10 nanometer, right? Ish.
1 alpha.
I don't know what that means.
So in memory land, because these numbers don't actually mean anything, really.
Yeah.
When we went below 20, instead of having a number, they started using Greek letters.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So you have 1 alpha, 1 beta, 1 gamma.
Why not?
One.
Like if it's all just made up.
What's that? Is a nanometer a real thing anyway? That seems made up too.
Okay, we're not going to go into nanometer talk.
Are we going to bring back Gordon's greatest hits?
Nope, we're not going to talk about nanometers here.
Like, can we talk about how they measure things?
Don't even. No. Your hand was right here. No, I saw what your hand was doing.
Will is definitely starting to do some hand gestures.
So,
nope.
But why don't we just spin up more fabs? Why are we not making more RAM if there's a supply crunch? Typically, when the capitalism is working, the demand goes up, the supply doesn't meet the demand, and then somebody increases the supply.
So Micron has said they are investing $100 billion into new fabs.
Okay.
Of which I think they did either a groundbreaking or they reached some milestone on their first $16 billion investment.
Okay.
Recently. Samsung and SK Hynix have said, no, we're not expanding capacity.
Because they think it's a bubble.
Yes.
And they don't want to get stuck holding the bag.
The going's good and stock price is up.
Yeah. Like there's no downside to them gouging everybody for RAM because the supply is lower than the demand.
The way we typically look at it is, well, how much is sold And currently, as far as we know, all of the 2026 supply is sold, and a good chunk of 27. These are people prepaying for stuff that hasn't been built yet.
So then what happens? Okay, they've prepaid for the stuff that hasn't been built yet. What if, like, this is a big what if, but what if, say, OpenAI or Oracle, who are buying a lot of this RAM in advance for data centers that don't exist yet and haven't been built yet, right? Mm-hmm. What happens if that money goes away to these RAM vendors? Are we suddenly going to see a glut of cheap RAM for normal people like you and me?
Potentially. It all comes down to what is in the contract for a failure to either the memory company to supply it on time, or for the money to not come. Right.
Yeah.
So, you can pay and you can have a contract. If you want to go into how TSMC works, you could have a contract, but if somebody pays more, it's written into the contract that if they have somebody who bids more than you,
then they can just bounce you.
Yeah. They can just move you down the list. Oh. Right. And because it's when you're in a high demand environment. Yeah. So the point is, if you can pay more, you'll get it quicker.
The capitalism is working at a really high level, it sounds like.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so you could turn around and say, well, I've got an agreement for so much amount of memory over the next 2 years. But then suddenly you're over, somebody pays more than you and you get bumped off the list and you don't know if you're going to get any memory. So you pay more. You bid more.
This sounds like it shouldn't be allowed, Ian.
This is what happens when you have a multinational cross
regulatory environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess also we're talking about 3 major companies here, not one. So I guess there's at least
it's not a monopoly.
Yeah, it's not a monopoly.
It's more of a cartel than a monopoly, is what it sounds like.
It's also not like they have been accused of collusion in the past.
There's that too. So
it's fine. There's 3 of them.
That collusion happened when there was low demand. They artificially increased the price.
Yeah.
This is high demand.
It's a different kind of collusion.
Different kind of collusion. So the other element to this is also high bandwidth memory.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really affect consumer?
No, but the argument has been because high bandwidth memory is at a premium compared to DRAM, what if we have a fixed amount of manufacturing space, if some of that manufacturing space is turned over to high bandwidth memory versus DRAM. So that's in effect reducing supply.
Oh, so this is the same question as like, why does Nvidia bother making consumer GPUs
Correct.
when they could be making work center?
We'll get to actually. Yeah, let's save that for a future topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a follow up I have is, and you just talked about how I think you mentioned Micron is investing in new stuff. Is that in DRAM or is that in HBM?
So it's
both?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. It'll be
Wait,
both.
are you saying Ram's RAM?
I'm saying
It sounds like you said Ram's RAM there.
DRAM and HBM are by and large a very similar manufacturing line, just different ratios of equipment.
Okay.
All right.
And then,
Ram's RAM. Perfect. You heard it here.
Love it.
I have a sort of quick follow-up tangential question.
Please,
Ian,
Lena,
for you.
help us.
For context, I mean, it's clear that they don't want to spin up production, but if they were to, about what kind of timeline would that take? Obviously that's what probably factoring into the decision not to, right?
Yeah. So it's generally quoted that in order to, if you're starting from complete bare ground, you've got to get the permits, build the shell, fill it with tools, dial it in, and then ramp to high volume. That typically takes around 3 years and $20 billion for a leading edge.
And more in the US, less in other places.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
If you are lax with permits, work people around the clock.
Now you're talking.
And
Capitalism.
and are willing to accept a yield ramp which
Can't make
is
an omelet without breaking some eggs, Ian.
economic compared to normal. You could probably get it down to 18 months, but the limiting factor there becomes your equipment suppliers, right? So the people who make the fab equipment to build the memory, it's not just ASML. Many other companies are involved in that process. They're also seeing high orders for their equipment because logic is being built out. TSMC's building, Samsung's building, and it's a lot of similar equipment between logic and memory as well. So.
Can't they build new buildings on the manufacturing that's already happening?
Yeah, that's an expansion of a site can happen, and that means it might be easier to deal with things like water regulation.
That seems like the quickest way,
and
right?
Supply chain. You still need the land next to the fab.
Sure.
What if you
It's
already
really
have a factory that's working on a similar process? Like you have a 1 alpha process
Yep.
and you're like, you know what? RAM's hot right now, baby. We're going to stop making whatever it was we were making before.
Toasters.
Toasters. And we're going to switch over. No, they were making chips. They had to be
I don't
making
know,
chips
man.
of some kind.
No, like the chips
So-
for the toasters.
It's not that kind of chip that we're talking about.
No,
we're not talking
there-
about
There's
like
a
French fries.
processor in toasters.
They're not using leading edge processors.
Yeah.
in
So
toasters.
okay, so you have a fab that's the right process. Is that like a gut and do over? Is that like a hey, just feed a new plan into the machine and all of a sudden it's RAM wafers coming out and we're rolling in dough.
It's mostly new plan in the machine.
Okay.
So when I say 1 alpha, 1 beta, there have been estimates on where to put those numbers in terms of nanometer, and sometimes you'll see an analyst say it's 17.9 versus 17.6,
Okay.
which is again arbitrary
Yeah.
because it's a
Because nanometers aren't real. We already established that.
it's one of the limiting factors is density of memory, right? So if you can make your memory more dense, you just get more out of your wafers,
Yeah.
right? The problem there is the way memory is built. Part of it doesn't scale properly, and there is work on a new architecture of DRAM called 4F squared versus 6F squared, and that
one.
that's going to take a while to come.
New memory architecture just dropped.
But so Intel in the last couple of weeks announced a partnership with a Japanese company to essentially grow DRAM on top of chips.
Oh, that sounds nice.
like crystals.
So in the same way that AMD has 3D V-cache, but that's two separate dies you bond together.
Yeah.
Instead, you're taking a wafer, like a CPU wafer, and you're building a DRAM chip on top, layer by layer,
It's like the Pentium
Nifty.
Pro.
if you like.
Will tried so hard to say that with a straight face and failed.
Okay.
But people are looking into ways to. So one way to add memory to your chip. Say you have a laptop that's like 16 gigs. Maybe you just need a CPU with memory on top, and not a separate chip, like a smartphone.
Or like
Oh.
I guess it's on the package, not on
Yeah,
the
well,
chip.
so smartphone, you literally have two packages and you
Yeah.
build them on top of each other.
Huh.
This is literally growing layers of silicon.
I mean, but also
chip.
kind of similar to X3D, right? Isn't it like?
Yeah, X3D is two
It's a
chips.
different kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So-
I I don't want to be on RAM this whole time, but I do think we need to get to the big question that everyone wants to know. How long is this going to last, Ian? You just said that orders have been placed through mid 2027 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that means that money's already spent, meaning we're still going to deal with that until 2027.
So one of the levers that might be important is when we change technologies from, say, DDR5 to DDR6.
Really? Why?
Because then suddenly if everybody wants DDR6 because of the bandwidth, because of the density, because of the capacity, the market may be flush with DDR5.
Is DDR6 still a 1 alpha or is it a different process?
I have no idea.
Okay. Is DDR6 real at this point or is it's just a paper spec, right?
It's just a paper spec right now.
Okay.
I believe so. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, there's a conference called ISSCC, Solid State Circuits Conference, and I believe there are a couple of DDR6 papers there.
Now, how does DDR6 and GDDR like?
The idea is that the CPUs will support it. Therefore, you just build DDR6 memory for those CPUs, and then the market gets DDR5. The problem is everybody wants everything right now.
Yeah.
So realistic. Sorry, Adam. I'm going to say maybe late 28.
Assuming
estimates.
the AI bubble doesn't pop.
Correct.
If the AI bubble pops, we're back in business immediately. Or the global economy collapses and we're trading seeds and it's basically Mad Max or Waterworld or whatever your post-apocalypse of choice is.
I prefer Waterworld, I guess.
The thing to watch out for is that because of where we are right now, some of the smaller memory players, the ones that would just put the memory on to modules, may end up folding because of their inability to get memory in order to shore up the revenues. And so when we come, quote unquote, back to normality,
that ecosystem has to be rebuilt from scratch at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my fear.
So
Thanks, Ian.
is that so? To just kind of tack on real quick, Ian, What sort of, I guess, knock-on effects are you anticipating because of this, right? Like, do you think it's going to slow or depress progression? Like, do you think it's going to prolong even further when you would have normally anticipated DDR6 coming? Things like that.
So we obviously just saw the launch of Panther Lake from Intel, and speaking with some of the partners there, they're going to be selling a lot more 8 GB SKUs than 16. We expected 16 to be the average for a notebook this year. It looks like there's going to be another generation at least on 8, just because of lower capacity.
Great.
Not leading edge
I
memory.
mean,
attached to
we
those
heard people
packages.
talking about that at CES.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So in terms of people going above and beyond for more memory, you either have to pay for it or it's going to be a stagnant situation for that. As to whether there will be an impetus to drive to better standards to increase things like density, reliability, in the past I have spoken to, say, PCIe SIG, the standards body behind PCIe, and they're on what, a 3-year cycle in terms of new generations of PCIe. I said, if people actually, got off their butts and worked really hard, how quickly could we get a new spec out? And the head of the organization said 2.5 years.
Great. Good news, everyone.
So the only thing that's really driving fast on that right now is new HBM standards for the data center
data
GPUs.
centers, yeah.
So HBM4 is actually almost a different class of HBM to HBM3. There's a number of technical reasons for that, and we'll see it deployed in systems before the standard is actually properly finalized.
well, but you said it still could mean that manufacturing switches over to that, which would still impact us because then there'd be less of DRAM stuff.
So, do you think this is going to spill over into other industries? Like, friend
Like
of the show, Rick
toasters.
Double, asked about cars a minute ago, auto industry. They're not using high performance RAM like this, right?
No, but if part of the problem is where are your AI models running? Are they local or are they in the cloud?
I'm not running AI models, so it's not really an issue for me.
You're not, but maybe your car is.
Mr. AI himself over here.
If your car is doing something, say for engine reliability,
Yeah.
it might be running a model locally. It might need a 4 GB RAM chip for that, right? These are now design decisions having to be made in devices like vehicles or smart speakers or
So they're using
whatever.
DDR3 instead of DDR4.
Or
5.
it's about part of it is where are the models going as well?
Yeah.
Are they becoming more efficient or are they bigger? Are they running locally or are they in the cloud? One of my big conversations around CES is that the reason why the chips now have such big NPUs, especially Qualcomm and MediaTek, is because it turns out in China you don't want to send your data to the cloud.
Makes sense.
You want your models to run locally. And so they have a higher memory requirements than most and higher NPU requirements than most. You could argue that in the West, you should also be similarly worried.
Probably more concerned these days than
Well,
you used to be.
But I mean, but you're still
yes.
going to need more DRAM because of that
Correct.
locally. Then
Correct. Yeah. And that's another multiplicative factor, just making it worse for people who want to do more regular things.
All right. So, like you told me at CES, just be happy with what you got right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm playing games from 2020. And
Wow. Well, oh, we heard Will said games from 2020 are ancient history. Like Cyberpunk.
All I said was that
Cyberpunk is
Cyberpunk
a classic
not
game
a new
at this
benchmark.
point. No, you said it's a classic game.
Classic
okay.
game.
All right. Well, great.
Well, this is a real.
Yeah, if there's
it's
any-
great to have you here, Ian. Thanks for the good news.
Yeah. Love it. I mean,
I'm helping inform your investments.
I mean, listen. Yeah.
not investment advice.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, but do you think at this point,
Is it going to get more expensive?
yeah, should people just be like, oh, you know what? Like, yes, it's a bad cost right now, but I should just eat the cost right now if you really need it.
Yeah, it's the we're very used to year on year getting a bump in performance or a bump in one dimension or another at the same price.
Yeah.
It's now going to be another 10-20%
Yeah.
in order to get that bump. If you pay the same, you might get you get a fast CPU, but you'll have less memory.
Which AMD says, oh, well, that's okay if you get an X3D part. You
Yeah.
know, so maybe you pay a little bit more for the CPU, and So
another thing came out. We know that the AMD mobile CPUs in mini PCs in China is going gangbusters right now. Everybody's got 50 million models. But if the memory is the most expensive part in that system, they're turning around to their AMD distributors saying, I won't buy your CPUs without memory with them.
Bundled, yeah.
Without it being a match set bundle. Because you're not my biggest cost anymore.
Basically what we're seeing is the small folks are going to leverage their larger partners to swing their weight around to get to get the RAM.
The thing is, I asked AMD about that, their high level sales reps who, to be honest, mostly focus on the West, and they said they weren't seeing that. But I was having discussions about it. So
one of we had the similar thing happened, and I think I'm the only one that's old enough to remember this, in the early 90s when there was a big earthquake in Taiwan, and it wiped out it shut down a lot of the RAM manufacturing for a fairly long time. And we saw things like IBM started shipping PCs with 8 SIM slots so that you could put 1 megabyte at the time SIMs in. Are we going to see, this seems like this might go on long enough that we see weird stuff like people starting to build DDR4 systems again? And is this the return of Raptor Lake? Are we going to see DDR4 Raptor Lake as the machine of the year this year? Are there other weird long-term effects you see coming?
The problem with that is people want to use latest node and don't want to spend the die area supporting older memory
on the CPU side.
Correct. Yeah. Or even on the GPU, using DDR5 rather than DDR6 or DDR7.
Okay.
It's getting to a point where designing those chips are too expensive to not go with the latest, and you end up, the IBM thing, there wasn't a performance hit for doing that to the same extent there would be today.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Right, and that's the main issue. We might see more, say, single channel designs.
Okay.
Especially for mobile CPUs, low end mobile CPUs. Wildcat Lake, the lower end Panther, is already single channel.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the chip that's going into the sub $600 notebooks. Thing is,
and very efficient.
A 64-bit wide DDR5X, LPDDR5X 8533 or whatever is supported is still faster than dual channel DDR4 3200.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So they're doing it because there's a knock-on effect. The knock-on effect of just them focusing on power and efficiency is that it might be cheaper.
So it seems like it's more likely we'll see crappy spec 8 gig machines than lower spec, digging out older RAM. What's some good stuff we can go pull DDR5? Can we desolder DDR5 off of head units in cars or something like that? Where's some places we can steal RAM, Ian? That's what I need to know.
Not cars, because of ASIL B and ASIL D requirements for security, ISO 26262 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
242.
Yeah, I know. That keeps me up at night thinking about whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's back during the pandemic, we did have the CEO of ASML saying, we've got people desoldering microcontrollers from $300 washing machines to put in their vehicles. I'm like, no, you're not. He made the story up from my perspective. Okay. But that's what happens when you can't get chips.
Yeah.
We're still in an environment where you can get chips.
You just have to pay a lot.
You just have to pay a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, we should move on from RAM because we got some other interesting stuff.
It's more good news.
I do have a question, but I'll wait for the Q&A section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll save it for the Q&A. Thank you. I want to get to a topic that we actually did a video on at CES. So some people might have seen this, but I want to bring it up again because we were all there when Jensen and Lipoutin got on a call, started talking about cognac, realizing the mics were hot, and then said, you know what, we're not here to talk about alcohol. We're here to talk about our partnership between Intel and Nvidia. This is a glorious partnership. Hands are shaking, minds are blown. Everyone's like, oh, wow, this is the death of AMD. This is a big deal.
$5 billion.
Yeah, $5 billion. I can't count that high. That's
not a real number. It's just like nanometers.
That's crazy.
Not real.
And any moment we're gonna see a chip release that's gonna have Intel CPU with an Nvidia GPU and integrated graphics are just gonna shoot to the next level. All this speculation. And Ian said, hold your horses, you silly gamers. Excuse you for assuming anything. So what did they get wrong?
So this is a positive for gamers. The Intel has repeatedly said, and I've spoken with the teams, that they are in GPU for the long term.
I would hope so. Yeah.
So XE graphics is definitely on the roadmap for multiple generations. For many reasons. So we're talking about XE, XE2, XE3, XE4, XE5, and whatever that's going to be called. Ethereal, maybe.
I think the real question though is it are they going to focus on integrated solutions, or are they going to continue to do a discrete GPU?
So what's Nvidia's biggest market right now?
Data center
and AI, right? The biggest thing that they sell is a rack scale solution with 72 GPUs inside, and
I've got one of those.
And 36 CPUs. Costs about $3 million. It's about 140 kilowatts.
Yeah. He's got it in his 1,000.
Two in my garage.
Yeah.
It's 1,000-foot garage.
Yeah, my wife's all upset because I got all these Nvidia racks.
And
they just keep sending them to people.
You got one for a review?
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I get a rack? I want to test out the new Pulsar monitors. Don't have any of those.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what we do have.
Yeah.
What's your power capacity at the house like?
Yeah.
It's and so those systems are ARM based, right? They've got a Nvidia designed
Sounds
ARM
like they're-
CPU.
well, never mind. Yeah, go on.
It's using ARM Neoverse, which is ARM's more sort of like turnkey solution.
This is why they tried to buy ARM a few years ago,
Yeah,
right?
correct. And there is a semi-running joke that it's actually more like a glorified memory controller because it's got 448 gigabytes of LPDDR5 attached to it, and it's cheaper to have memory attached to the CPU than just adding more GPUs at a certain level. Customers apparently love this, and they're deploying it en masse. You can see by the financials and how much money. But customers are requesting an x86 alternative.
Why?
Because their software base is all x86, or they have engineers that are more comfortable with x86, and x86 has a history.
I mean, if that was already there, why didn't NVIDIA do that to begin with?
So part of it is the close integration between the CPU and the GPU on that front. They use something called NVLink, which is their custom interconnect protocol, and you can't get that in an x86 CPU, right? Because it's a proprietary NVIDIA technology that NVIDIA are using on their own CPU and their own GPU to put it together.
You mean NVIDIA likes proprietary technology? That's
Correct.
Weird.
Correct.
I haven't heard that one.
And so one of the requests has been, can we just have an x86 version? It's one of the reasons why NVIDIA announced this new feature called NVLink Fusion, which is the ability to work with third-party companies to integrate NVLink. But if you speak to the analyst community and the investor community, they saw this arrangement purely as one main arm was, let's replace the NVIDIA ARM CPU with an Intel x86 CPU with this NVLink attachment IP that NVIDIA can provide, because they're now such close friends. Closer than ever before. $5 billion closer than ever before.
Funny, once Jensen was really competing with the blue and the red companies for years and years and years until he was bigger than them, and then they're friends again.
Yes.
Shocking.
It's how this
Weird.
works. You don't bite the hand that feeds.
Yeah.
And so in this instance, we're expecting to see x86 versions of their big AI rack scales.
So you think that's the output of this deal?
That's the
Primary.
what primary output. There is a secondary output.
Well, real quick, we got a question from friend of the show, Noankin, in the chat. NVIDIA's developing something they can't entirely own. Why can't they just do x86?
Yeah. Well, one, you don't have the licenses to do their own x86. The original x86 patents are now out, but things like AVX and even SSE4, some of the the instruction bases, and also AMD 64-bit extensions that both Intel and AMD use. So they can't go build their own.
And AMD and Intel have a patent sharing agreement for some of that stuff?
So they used to have a cross-licensing agreement.
Yeah.
I believe that's expired now, but it's still just, we're not going to sue.
Okay.
Because there's no point, because it's
They'd sue each other and
mutually
no one would win.
destruction.
Yeah.
Okay.
On that side. So Intel NVIDIA has to work with a partner. There are no x86 licenses available in the same way. I did see somebody say who has x86 licenses. VIA still has one, but that doesn't include the latest matrix extensions.
Yeah, the modern stuff.
And there's a company called DM&P that still has a 32-bit license, and they come out with a new CPU roughly every 8 years.
Can't Can Nvidia just buy
Intel.
well,
Yes.
any of those companies?
No, because if they buy VIA, they only get the access that
okay.
VIA has, and they want
They want the whole stack.
they want the leading edge
Yeah.
x86 CPU architecture from Intel to do it. They're not going to do it with AMD, but they will do it with Intel. And part of this agreement and the leverage of Intel's position means that they can dictate the terms on this. Nvidia already has this sort of arrangement with MediaTek.
The people who make like
ARM.
radios and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
ARM and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's through a little device called DGX Spark, the little mini AI PC.
The little guy.
So that inside has the main processor is 2 chips, an ARM-based CPU from MediaTek and NVIDIA-based GPU from NVIDIA. And they use the NVLink connection between them because NVIDIA is the dominant one in that relationship and is able to dictate the use of that IP to build that product. The secondary product from this arrangement is expected to be an x86 version of DGX Spark for the same reasons. So people want an x86-based developer platform in that sort of form factor.
So then the other potential products are things like a laptop chip from Intel that has an NVIDIA discrete GPU.
We already
on
get
the
those.
die.
KB like G.
No,
Oh,
sorry. Integrated in the die rather than a discrete
Into the package.
into the package.
I don't think that the business opportunity for NVIDIA compared to everything else just isn't worth the
The amount of
The
dev
effort.
work that would go into that.
yeah.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying
But also just to add on to that, KB Lake G, right? Intel CPU, AMD GPU,
match made in heaven? Elena's favorite.
right? So AMD's involvement in that is they just sold Intel a chip.
Because then the chip is communicating across PCI just like everything else. It's just PCI soldered to the
Yeah.
board rather than through a slot.
Yeah, but it was an Intel product that Intel sold. Once AMD had sold the chip, that was it. AMD was a third party in that product. People often labeled it as a joint venture, but realistically, that was just Intel buying a chip. So in this instance, it would have to be Intel buying an NVIDIA chip and NVIDIA just not being involved in beyond just selling a chip to do that.
So are you saying the gamers are going to get nothing out of this?
That's what it feels like, yes.
I mean, obviously, follow the money, right? The money is in this kind of stuff, so that makes sense.
We already have laptops with NVIDIA GPUs.
But it's the in-package stuff. Like AMD has an advantage on the laptop side with the in-package APU, both in like cooling and power.
But
for the packages.
that APU is still integrated CPU graphics.
Right,
Right,
of course.
the same as
Which
what
has been getting better and better.
and Intel just launched Panther Lake with Xe12,
Yeah,
and that's getting rave reviews,
Yeah.
yeah.
and that's equivalent.
Well, but
Yeah.
doesn't NVIDIA, like, they're losing
You
ground?
can't run CUDA on an on the Intel thing.
No, so you have an NVIDIA discrete GPU.
But then
in
you
it.
have to have a whole separate cooling apparatus, and like it reduces your battery. You can't build Strix Halo with a discrete GPU.
So what power was? Intel has said they don't want to do a Strix Halo.
Yeah, no, that's because they don't
Cool.
have a Strix Halo.
No, but as in they're not even bothering to design one.
Yes, that's because it takes. If they start designing it now, it'll be 5 years before it's out.
Yeah.
and we'll be past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's KB Lake G was what, a 55 watt part, or it peaked to something like 70, 75.
I don't remember.
So
yeah.
so you're going to need a beefy cooling apparatus anyway.
Yeah, but well,
yeah.
I still think cooling one thing is easier and better than cooling two things. It leaves more room
Well-
for things that I like battery.
And really, I mean, I think to step back even further, the thing that people have been talking about for a while is, does NVIDIA even care about gamers anymore? Are they are they so focused
that's a
on
real
chasing
question.
that, that to the point where there was the rumors or whatever of the reporting recently of, oh man, NVIDIA is going to cut back on consumer GPUs in this year 2026. Like everything seems to be pointing that NVIDIA is no longer paying attention to this segment.
So Nvidia in the last quarter of their financials made, I want to say, over $4 billion from gaming,
It's a lot of money.
which is almost as much as AMD's data center business.
Yeah, okay.
That's a big. That's pretty good though. Yeah,
Exactly.
$4 million.
Okay.
Pretty okay.
The one thing that sways this as to Nvidia reducing building gaming chips is if the demand is so great on the AI side, and they are wafer limited.
Which they are now, right?
So there's this argument going on: are they wafer limited in terms of making silicon at TSMC, or are they packaging limited where they put the silicon with HBM?
So okay, can we step through that process a little bit? Because I think this is something people don't understand, and I don't understand it.
Sure.
Which is why I'm asking this. When right now TSMC 4 making both 5090s and the data center parts, right? When Nvidia buys a certain amount of TSMC 4 wafers every year, they're choosing with each wafer that they run through the system whether it's going to be G-forces,
Correct,
or whether it's going to be a
Pro,
data center
yeah.
part. Yeah. So why would they ever make another G-force if they can sell those data center parts as fast as they make them for 10 times the money or 100 times the money?
So when you have a gaming part, right, the wafer comes off the production line and it's just the silicon. You have the silicon chip,
Yeah.
right? You then put that on a PCB and then you put memory around it, right? When you have a data center GPU, you have the chip, but then you have to put HBM around it, and then you package that together before you put it on a motherboard.
In like what would be the GPU package on our video card.
So this is the process of packaging. The gaming GPU uses simple packaging. You're just simply putting it onto the green PCB. Whereas the data center GPU has advanced packaging. This is where you have different interconnects and high bandwidth memory, and it's a different process altogether.
Is it analogous to like the Foveros packaging on
Correct.
Clearwater Lake versus
Forest.
Phantom Lake or Panther Lake?
All the major foundries have
There are forests.
variants, and there are also third parties that sub-license this as well.
And so people don't know if it's the capacity out of TSMC or the capacity out of the packaging
Correct.
that is the issue right
So over the last 2 to 3 years, the main limit has been packaging.
So that's the only reason we still have consumer GPUs.
now. Has anyone asked Nvidia? Has anyone asked Jensen
About
where the limit is?
So TSMC has been increasing their packaging supply for data center 60% year on year for the last 2 years.
Okay, so this is like the wafer comes out of one fab at TSMC,
And it goes
then
across
they
the
get
street
carried across the street to another TSMC wafer, another TSMC fab.
to another facility,
Yeah,
which
okay.
which uses a different process.
Either way, the bottleneck's TSMC.
Well, so TSMC does sub-license some of its advanced packaging functionality to companies like ASE and Amkor. This is why when TSMC announced new Arizona fab, they also co-announced
And that's the packaging stuff.
a packaging company would also be investing $2 billion into the area, to help shore up the supply chain for packaging in that area. It's
How big are the wafer? How big are the dies for the consumer GPUs versus the data center GPUs? Is it like a number of chips per wafer situation too?
so the top end consumer chips and the top end data center chips use roughly the same die
Same
area.
die area. Okay.
Yeah, it's what we call reticle limited, about 850 square millimeters.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, packaging technology is also a degree of freedom that has its own life in the industry, and millions of people are working on just that as well.
Wait, so are you saying if the packaging for the data center stuff is so limited, but TSMC is still making the wafers, they're like, all right, well, we're not going to have the actual GPU itself sit around, so we might as well put them in consumer?
No, that only works if the silicon die is the same,
And they're not anymore.
and
That
they're
hasn't been
not
the case for a
anymore.
long time. That used to be the case, is that the consumer stuff got the cast-offs.
The word you're looking for is fungibility, the ability to use the silicon in multiple
I
places.
thought you just said it was the same
Well,
die.
no, same size.
Size-wise.
Okay.
So
okay.
AMD with its CPU chiplets on consumer and enterprise, they're essentially the same.
The chiplets are the same.
Yeah, the chiplets are
They
the same.
scale from top to bottom.
So if you make a bunch of chiplets, you only need to decide after the fact whether they go into Ryzen or EPYC.
And that does not apply for NVIDIA.
That does not apply for NVIDIA.
So they
It
have
was
to
the case
plan.
until like what, third generation,
Correct.
3000
And-
series or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have to plan in advance to make consumer GPUs, which
Yeah.
then the question comes back to, why would they make consumer GPUs?
Because they
then?
can't package enough of them to
Correct.
sell all of them
Oh,
into the
all right.
data center.
Yeah.
So what it sounds like, Ian, is what you're saying is that even though it's not a direct thing where it's like, oh, well, we made too much of this, we can just repurpose it. It's more that, well, if we're planning it so that, well, we can only make so much of X in a reasonable amount of time. So since we have capacity for other production, we'll put consumer into that space.
Yeah, and these bets
lack
have
of
to
a
be
term.
made about 6 months in advance because that's
Yeah,
how long
okay.
if you start with a blank wafer in the fab in order to getting a product out, that you've got in the box down there, can take anywhere from if you're going the ultimate fastest, which is the most expensive, it might take a month. But if you're doing it in volume, you're batching.
This is like growing the bulls and then turning them into
No,
wafers. Oh,
just starting with
starting
the
with a wafer. Okay.
Yeah, because it has to go through so many thousands of steps inside the fab, and along with all the other orders as well, it can take up to 6 months.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
So
it all comes down to, can you model your demand in advance? And you do that by speaking to customers, right? You do that by speaking to your supply chain. Can your supply chain
And
support?
contracting out your demand in advance.
Correct.
Right.
So we're all talking about prepayment of memory. Well, you have to prepay for your packaging 6 months in advance. You have to prepay your supply chain. So it's a lot of companies put a lot of money into trying to estimate their supply chain capabilities and their demand in advance. Because if you get it wrong, you're sitting on $2 billion worth of hardware in a warehouse for 6 months.
but there seems to be a lot of smoke around less consumer GPUs.
Yeah.
So like
Nothing has been necessarily validated yet. Somebody from traditional media actually pinged me this morning saying, "Can I jump on a call to explain this?" It's you can see it happening just because of the demand on the AI side. We've already seen it with AMD to a certain extent. There's no more Ryzen 3s.
Right.
Right,
Oh.
and that's because the
Yeah.
demand is for the mid and the high end.
Oh, good call.
Right, so
I didn't think about that.
if you have a limited supply of CPU chiplets, do you want to put them in $100 Ryzen 3s or do you want to put them in $350 Ryzen 5s
Yeah,
on
that
Ryzen
makes a lot of
7s?
sense.
Right. So AMD is only focusing on the high end, high margin parts. So if you're Nvidia and you're making GPUs, the main reason why we haven't got, say, a 5040, do we have 5050s?
We do have
Yeah, there's
50/50s,
50/50s,
but
yeah.
I
but
mean, who
very,
knows
very
how much they're
When
selling.
we
Right,
asked
right.
for them, they weren't enthusiastic about
Yeah,
sending them.
and assuming the yield economics work, you're going to be building your biggest and your most expensive and your most profitable parts.
Well, but also in a world where RAM is the most expensive thing in your system, it doesn't make sense to buy a cheap CPU if you're going to put $1,000 worth of RAM in
Yeah,
your computer.
which compounds the problem.
Yeah.
You can save $50 on your CPU by getting the one with 6 cores instead of 8. But guess what?
Yeah.
The RAM's still going to be $800.
See our conversation earlier.
There's plenty of supply if you can afford it.
Yeah. I'm looking on US Newegg right now. It looks like you can buy 50/50s brand new from MSI, Asus, Zotac. Looks like Gigabyte, starting at a low price of $260.
What about
Sold from-
B580s?
B580s. Man, I feel like those have been dried up for a while.
I saw one in Central Computers.
Oh no, yeah, okay. You can get a B580 at US Newegg, $300.
Yeah.
So pretty much the same price, and that thing's gonna beat the pants off 50/50.
So, friend of the show, Falcon Northwest, had a question in chat.
Hey, Kel.
Yo.
Kelt asked, is it incorrect that there is a VRAM constraint versus a packaging constraint on consumer GPUs? I think this is related to the story that came out a couple weeks ago about NVIDIA not bundling the RAM with the GPUs for the vendors anymore.
It's the same argument as distributors not wanting to just deal with the volatility.
So it's up to the board vendors to deal with the RAM market because it's a nightmare, basically.
Yeah, it simplifies NVIDIA's supply chain to not bundle with the memory. There's upsides and downsides there. Did they sell the memory at a premium anyway?
Well, right.
Right, and if they bought it at the current spot price, which is what we call the instantaneous price
Yeah.
of memory, and put their margin on top, would it be a multiplicative effect on the end part when it hits retail?
So it's better to take out the middleman in this case.
Yeah.
Assuming the middleman wasn't getting a better deal because they're buying all the RAM in the world.
Which
there's that.
I
yes.
did hear a lot of that in the back end at CES. A lot of people were like, "Oh, actually, this is a good thing for the board vendors. This is not Nvidia screwing people over, because then ultimately they have control over."
Well, so how many Nvidia board vendors are there? 8, 10?
Yeah. Worldwide, yeah.
Yeah. So now instead of one person bidding on that memory, you've now got 10.
Yeah. So hey, bad news, guys.
Yeah. Good news, bad news.
Capitalism continues to work.
Woo! Okay.
Good
right.
news, we'll still sell you GPUs. Bad news, you've got to do a lot more yourself,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
going to be worse.
I mean, it does mean that we'll see GPUs presumably with different RAM configurations. So we'll see cheaper
No.
GPUs with lower RAM.
No.
No.
So
I mean, speed configurations.
speed maybe, capacity.
No.
The days of multiple capacity configurations on, because that ends up being built into the chip design.
Yeah,
now.
the memory controllers.
Well,
on the
I mean, but
transistor.
they already have like 8 and 16 gig versions. Like maybe it just means there's more of one or the other.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll get a random company in China selling 32 gig.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you can make your own.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's becoming rarer and rarer.
Okay.
I wish it was more of a thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Nvidia
How-
and Intel partnership.
How close are
I-
we to Nvidia selling a board that you can just put an Intel CPU in and that's your computer now?
No, it wouldn't be a market. Nvidia. It comes back to there's this consistent rumor that there's going to be a MediaTek Nvidia laptop, with this theoretical N1,
Lots of rumors, a
N1X,
lot of smoke.
right? My question has always been: is that an Nvidia product or is that a MediaTek product?
That sounds like a Microsoft product, honestly, because it's something nobody will buy and no one wants.
No.
No, because is this Nvidia using MediaTek contract services and then putting it out as an Nvidia product, which would be into a low margin market, which Nvidia doesn't really need?
No.
Or would it be MediaTek leveraging their relationship to buy an Nvidia part and then coming to market with either a MediaTek or a MediaTek partner branded device?
I mean, listen.
It sounds a lot more like
Yeah,
MediaTek.
it's me. I mean, because Qualcomm with the Snapdragon, they're really making the play for consumer stuff.
Let me tell you.
But guess what? Maybe MediaTek says, "Oh, well, that's cute that you're doing that over there. Check out what we got."
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And
I'd rather see an x86 version.
I think we all would.
yeah. Well, yeah. Huh.
I have a question,
Please.
real quick, about this. Ian, what are your thoughts on potential for trickle-down benefits from this partnership, right? Because earlier you said that you didn't see anything directly in this that would result in benefit to consumers. But do you think there's anything from this partnership that would, down the road, ultimately benefit consumers?
Part of me wants to say Intel engineer familiarity with NVIDIA product lines. So you will get some synergy with the engineers working together about the inner workings of NVIDIA GPUs. So they might be able to find some synergy there between how do we get Intel to work better with NVIDIA. Now, theoretically, that relationship should have been there and should have been there for 20 years, right? They're such massive partners together. So part of me has always wondered, I've kind of put this to some executives, what's the difference here? Just because you invest $5 billion, what's the impetus to go to market? And the thing that comes out is always, well, what is the market potential for an engagement? Things like replacing the ARM CPUs with x86 CPUs. So realistically, the only thing here is there might be some synergy between some of the teams on Intel side versus NVIDIA side. Could that mean we get some form of DLSS working on XE graphics or vice versa, or perhaps some way that the teams can come together?
CUDA runs on XE GPUs suddenly.
That would be that's an interesting thought. I don't know how practical that is.
I don't know enough about how that stuff works.
I mean, yes, it could work with a translation layer debugging. It would be terrible, but it would solve the issue of having Nvidia not having anything at the sub $200 price point. I don't think that's part of this.
So the other question
that would
is,
be interesting.
Do you think Nvidia is going to use Intel's fab technology to make GPUs in the future?
Or packaging.
So Nvidia has already been using Intel's fabs as part of a government program called RAMP-C.
Okay.
And that was we want Intel's fabs to essentially be able to take in all sorts of different manufacturing IP and stuff. And so as a government, we're going to give money to people like Lockheed Martin and Nvidia and Synopsys and Cadence and all sorts of different companies just to go build test chips at Intel with no expectation of any future sales or growth. Just
see if you can do this.
See if you can do this. That program has now finished, and Nvidia did make some things at Intel. What they are, we don't know.
Okay.
They're probably just testing to see if stuff is actually applicable. But in the same way, we've seen rumors of perhaps Apple shifting some of their low-end production to Intel. And we are also seeing some rumors of Nvidia going back to Samsung for some of its mid to low range. The problem I see with that, I mean, it's possible, but the problem I see is Nvidia's margins are so high right now. I'm speaking from a business perspective.
Yeah.
A company is judged on its gross margins and profit margins. If you suddenly introduce a product that, you could make $2 billion, $3 billion a year, but the margins are only 40% rather than the company average 70%.
Yeah, it's a net loss for the shareholders.
It's a net loss for the shareholders.
Jensen doesn't like disappointing the shareholders.
Won't somebody please think of the shareholders?
Yeah, come on.
I mean,
Somebody's got to think
We had
of
the
them.
march here this weekend, guys.
Somebody's got to think of them.
So in an ideal world, yes, that would be an avenue, and I think Intel would embrace that with open arms.
Yeah.
Just because right now, realistically, you have to think of Intel Foundry as a separate company altogether.
Yeah, we talked about this last year, maybe the year before even, about like the process of spinning up Foundry and bringing new companies into Intel's way of doing things has traditionally been difficult for a whole host of reasons we don't need to get into here. But I wondered if that was like there's 15 different potential outputs from this partnership, and I think we've hit all of the ones I've thought about at this point.
Well, my last question, because we do need to move on to the next one, is how screwed is AMD out of this?
So based on some of the
scale of 1 to 10, Ian.
What is
10
the least
being the
screwed, 10
most
is the most
screwed.
screwed. Yeah.
1,
Wow. Okay.
not screwed at all.
Wow.
Perfect. Good talk.
Good job.
And I'll say that as somebody who spoke to Lisa on Monday.
Okay.
Was that yesterday?
Why? Why? Because she's about to partner with Jensen as well.
No. It's my role in the industry is that I'm an analyst, right? I speak to companies, I consult with them, and it just so happens that we had a analyst call with Lisa yesterday, which I can't tell you what was said, but there's confidence there just because their revenue is growing at such a historic rate for them. Now, you might consider, NVIDIA's is growing even faster.
And it is much bigger.
But, this year for AMD is massive in terms of what they're deploying for the data center. MI400 series, their own rack scale Helios designs. A lot of they did
that double wide data center part that they
correct.
showed off at CES.
Yeah.
That thing, it's really wide.
It
Everybody loves a wide bus.
One way you get away from 140 kilowatts per rack is you put it in 2.
Yeah, look, I'm from Tennessee. I know all about this. You start with one trailer wide, and then people are like, what if I need more space? You just put another one next to it and connect them. It's the same thing.
One of the things I look at is how much people expect revenue to increase from these companies over time.
Yeah.
And AMD's positive and margins are increasing. Nvidia's is just being more positive, at least in 25.
Will the rich get richer, and then AMD continues to also do better, but not comparatively as much.
But where does Intel play in this? I guess like most people would assume that if there's those 3 major companies and 2 of them are partnered together, then that means friend of my friend is my enemy, or whatever that means. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they still have to work with AMD. Is it Nvidia for their enterprise hardware, AI hardware,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about 8 GPUs in a box with a CPU. This Blackwell generation, they partnered with Intel. The generation before, they partnered with AMD.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a combination of, that what fits in the market, what's competitive, what makes the most sense. I mean, even AMD has this. When people buy their MI300 series cards, some people partner it with an Intel CPU, some people partner it with an AMD CPU. With the big rack, double wide rack scale, it's going to be AMD CPU, pretty much, on that side based on what we've seen. So the AMD, the feeling we're getting is, they're not leaving the consumer out. They're still so for them. For example, I once put to them, your notebook division, right? You're putting together all these different IPs. It's some of the most complex chips you make, yet it's some of the lowest margin products you make. So why are you even in that market? And the response I got was, well, it's an excellent example of how we can execute across business units.
Okay.
Right.
So they're using it to build core competency so that they can expand
Correct.
into new verticals and horizontals,
and
presumably also.
And one of the things about making money is that not only can you return it to shareholders, but you can invest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, AMD's made 12 acquisitions last year, ranging from everything from rack scale to optics to software, all sorts of stuff. And, everybody would love it as well if they invested a lot in the gaming side as well. I did put in my feedback form to AMD this morning, what other analyst talks would you like? And I was like, David Wang, gaming GPUs, please. Because we want to find out what's going on there between RDNA 3.5, RDNA 4, RDNA 5.
Yeah.
And whether AMD has the financials to go after the high end in gaming again.
Hey Ian, you said the RDNA word. Why are there no RDNA 4 APUs?
Timing. Just how things sync up in the design.
Okay. It just takes a while for that
Yeah,
to roll downhill.
Because design cycles are becoming so fast on the enterprise side, we're now getting to a point on the consumer side where it's almost like TikTok, right? CPU, GPU, CPU.
Oh, I thought
GPU.
you meant the app.
Yeah, that
Scroll.
too. And the flavor of the month is always CPU, and every so often it's GPU. 3.5 has had incredible success. It's a large install base for game designers and visual artists to go after. We expect Zen 6 is due out at some point. We're already talking about it. They're already building it for enterprise in Taiwan right now.
Yeah.
It will come to consumer, and hopefully, I think if it came out with RDNA 3.5, there might be a riot.
Yeah, right. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. Well, we got to get to the next one because, man, we could talk here all day, but we do have limited amount of time. Next one I want to move over to is yields. There, when we all attended the Intel Tech Tour, where we got to tour the fab, in Glendale, Arizona. Was it Glendale? Yeah, right.
Chandler,
whatever. Same thing.
Glendale's in California.
No, there's a Glendale.
You're a Glendale.
Yeah. Anyway, we all went there, and one of the things they said is like, hey, we're not talking about yields. Don't even ask about yields. We're not talking about yields. We're here to check it out. Look how pretty that machine is. How much does it yield? We're not talking about that. But now, I mean, we're at the other end of the launch of Panther Lake. We're starting to see designs and what's being out there, and I feel like there's more talk around yields. You've been chattering about it.
Yeah, this is because I think some of the talk around yields is absolutely pointless.
Okay, why?
So yields, just as a number, is the proportion of functional chips you get from a wafer, right?
Yeah.
So it's as a percentage. So the idea being is if it's 80%, then 80% of the chips from a wafer work.
And the other 20% waste of sand go in the trash.
Yeah. Or at least that's the impression.
Or they're binned down into other parts.
Well, so this is the
Or you
thing.
eat 'em.
That number hides two very different complexities in manufacturing, right? One is, can you print the design? And the second is, does that design work at voltage frequency?
Okay.
Right? So you have physical yield and parametric yield. So in the literature, you're talking about those two numbers.
So there's two places where the yield can break down.
Yeah. Is it the design goes wrong just because you have some sort of molecular growth that goes wrong and the wire touches, or you want most of your chips to hit 3.5 gigahertz and actually only 10% of them do. So that's where it comes in, is do you down bin, right?
Yeah.
And this is where you get into the concept of binning of voltage frequency. And this is why in the past, for example, Intel has had so many SKUs, because it's just optimizing for what comes out of the process. The thing is, what the market wants may be a different shape in the yield curve.
Well,
So if you have a chip that does 3.6, but the market wants 3.2, you could relabel it as a 3.2 product.
but then there's also that there's failures at different points along the process, right? So like you might have 80% of the chips on the 18A wafer that are good when they test the wafer, but when they cut them up and start putting them in packages with other chips on there, there's yield on those processes
Correct.
too, right? And it's all multiplicative.
Yes, and that typically just all comes under parametric, to be honest.
I don't know what that means.
That's the second bit of does it work at the right voltage
Oh,
frequency. Also, yield as a percentage is also a function of die size, of how big your chip is, right? So if you have really, really small chips, you can get a 99% yield. If you have one big chip, you will have 0% yield.
Yeah.
Right. The way that the engineers in this space work is something called defects per square centimeter, or defects per square inch, whatever you want, depending on metric and imperial. And the
Wait, do some fabs really work in imperial?
well, they say 12-inch wafers
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
rather than 300 mil wafers. Most literature is in defects per square centimeter.
Okay.
And a square centimeter is 100 square millimeters, and which is your typical smartphone chip, right? And if you get a defect in your chip, that's not always death for that chip, right? A lot of chips today are designed with redundancy in mind.
Is this why we end up with 6-core chiplets on AMD CCDs and 8-core chiplets on AMD CCDs?
Or your L2 cache, rather than being 2 megabytes, is actually 2.05 physically. And they just disable that extra bit off. And if a defect just happens to be in that bit, they disable that bit off.
Got it.
Right. So take a older process right now, 7 nanometer TSMC, because this is the data that I have. They were talking about having 0.07 defects per square centimeter.
And that sounds good.
Which is
Sounds low.
40 to 45 defects per wafer. So
Okay.
you've got almost 1 trillion transistors and only 45 defects.
Oh. That
That's
sounds
a pretty good percentage.
Yeah.
Nice job, guys.
But with redundancy and core rollover,
Yeah.
you might still be able to use every chip on that wafer.
So does that yield count as? Do those 45 defects with the chips with those 45 defects? Do they count as failed yield, or do those count as, hey, we asterisk this one and put it in a different tub?
So then that becomes a product question as well,
Yeah.
right? Because Apple never used to do binning like that. Every chip had to hit a minimum specification. And if you didn't, then it was trash.
Or they put it in an Apple TV.
Or, they downbin
Like
to a
literally,
different product.
that's why the Apple TV existed for a long time, because they could take old A4s that didn't bin and put them in that because they ran at a lower
Yeah,
speed.
so if you're wondering why Intel AMD has so many different parts, it's because why throw away a chip that 100 square millimeters might at the end of the day cost about $35 to make, right? Just for that single piece of silicon. Once you add it all up and everything else, don't throw it away. Use it in something else, because over millions of chips, it means you're not throwing money away.
Well, but then, so ultimately you're saying that yields then don't really matter because it can still be used for something else.
Yeah, so this is where a number, say, for the number that's currently being parroted around for 18A is 60%.
Okay.
Doesn't tell us what the die size is, doesn't tell us what the defect rate is, doesn't tell us whether that's defect yield, physical yield, or parametric yield, right?
Yeah.
This is why having these numbers are so terrible. I have a T-shirt on my store that says yield at what die size.
I was just saying, is that also the yield for Panther Lake or Clearwater Forest or both, or do we know?
Exactly.
Because the Clearwater Forest packaging is really complicated and scary, and it seems like it would be more likely to fail in the parametric phase.
Yeah. But so I was speaking with an IP engineer who was working on earlier other versions of Intel manufacturing, and he said, part of the parametric yield discussion comes down to what you can predict when you design the chip.
Okay.
Right. And the best way I have to explain this is imagine you're building a circuit. You don't know whether to use 2 capacitors, 3 capacitors, 4, 5, or 6. Right. If you use 6, it definitely works. Your circuit definitely works. If you use 2, it might not. When it does work, it's the most die area and energy efficient that you can do. If you can't model whether you need 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, how do you build it?
Dartboard?
Well, it's the trade-off you have to model, right? And that's why so much effort goes into modeling these metrics when it comes to silicon design.
If you choose between 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, you get a 6-sided die and just throw it. If it's a 1, you don't make the part. And then otherwise you take the number.
No. But if you decide to do 2 and it turns out it doesn't work at the end of the day, or your parametric yield binning doesn't hit the curve you want for the product. Do you remember when Samsung launched their first AMD GPU smartphone chip, and people argued this is 300 megahertz lower than it should be?
Yeah,
that's a parametric yield issue.
And they didn't, because they're not binning the smartphone. They're not selling different speed smartphones for sanity reasons.
No, they are, but just the yield off the production line was different to the yield they wanted to sell. But they sold it anyway. So in anything, it's a yield plus.
Wow.
So when we look at
Silicon Lottery,
it's when somebody says yield, ask for the defect rate, not the percentage of working chips, because it's too ambiguous.
Okay, then what's the defect rate of 18A?
So back when I spoke, we're talking 12 months ago now. Sorry, go back a bit more. 18 months ago, back when Pat Gelsinger was in charge, he said the defect rate was 0.4 per square centimeter, right?
Yeah.
Which is quite high.
Oh, really?
It's about 300 defects per wafer.
Okay.
But that was really early in the process.
Yeah.
This is like 9 months before high volume production starts. And then when I spoke to them 3 months later, they were showing me, the way they tracked defect rate is that they have an average and a best case. Or at least that's the data they showed me, right? And they were saying our average is in line with industry standard. As in, TSMC has graphs that you can look at online on defect rate. There are no numbers attached to the y-axis, or they might just indicate where 1 is.
It's like an old NVIDIA benchmark chart.
Yeah. And so they were saying, we've been tracking our 18A defect rate, and it tracks with what TSMC has published in the past for their standard expected. Also, 18A brings in new features like gate-all-around, ribbon FETs, and backside power delivery, all these new features that should decrease yield at the end of the day. So they're saying we're on parity with what TSMC has provided in the past with their traditional yield curves as they go to production.
Best case or average?
Average.
Average, okay.
And their best case was a lot better than that.
Okay.
So if anything, variation is something to optimize for. And as far as I'm aware, it's still going down that route, because Panther Lake is 18A, Wildcat Lake is 18A. They're probably going to make at least 40 million of those chips this year. And I cite that first year of Meteor Lake, they sold 40 million, right? The whole PC industry is about depending on who you talk to, about 270 million units a year.
Worldwide?
Worldwide.
Yeah.
And that's PC, notebook,
enthusiast,
desktop,
consumer stuff, all the little boxes, anything that
embedded.
runs Windows or Linux.
Pretty much, yeah. And they're because of the memory macroeconomics, they're expecting that to decrease by like mid-single digits, worst case, this year. But still, most of those are Intel based.
Is that, hold on, is it only decreasing by mid-single digits this year because everybody's bought their memory for this year 2 years ago, and they're paying 2 years ago prices for the memory that's going in this year's computers?
So I believe it's Gartner's worst case was down 6%. and that's due to the memory macroeconomics.
Okay. So presumably that number will continue next year and the year after until such a time as either AI bubble pops or Micron spins up enough new memory fabs.
But we're still talking about 250 million plus units.
And that doesn't count data center, just to be clear.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. This is the PC market. And what Intel sell, Intel still has, I think they still have 70% market share in x86 units. I think revenue it's 60%, but units it's more like 70% if you go by Mercury numbers. So yeah, and how many of they're expecting a lot of their customers who would have considered a 7 or a 10 nanometer part because nobody wanted the 4 or 3 nanometer parts, will all move to 18A just because Panther Lake and Wildcat Lake is a full stack replacement.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And how many companies were still buying 8th generation Core i3s for office devices, right? Wildcat Lake is that replacement.
When is Wildcat?
Wildcat Lake is the Panther Lake down.
Like when?
It's the Celeron for Panther Lake, right?
Yeah, the Atom.
18A, 6 to 8 core.
Yeah, but it's 18A.
Yeah.
It's Intel's leading edge process node.
I'm incredibly excited. Like, I want this for my little B-Link that's in my home lab. When are they going to start selling them?
I believe by the end of Q1.
Okay.
That's when I think chips are being shipped to
vendors. Okay.
So come Computex. We're already starting to see Panther Lake devices.
Yeah.
What Wildcat is on a slightly delayed
That's
schedule. But yeah, like I say, they're going to sell millions of those this year. And if that's not a validation for 18A, the only question 18A now has is, can you do bigger chips?
Yeah.
Reliably at the frequency you need.
That means GPUs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and obviously over time this process is going to be refined.
Yeah.
How many pluses did we get on 14? Right, 14 first gen versus 14 fourth gen. Frequency went up 1.2 gigahertz on the high end CPU.
Wait, and what's after 18A? Like
40. So there's 18A, there's 18AP, which is the performance variant. That's actually what's going to be used by external customers. So the expectation is maybe if Apple comes in, or if Nvidia comes in, or if Amazon comes in, or whatever, it's AP, which is like the performance variant. It's just an extended.
It's still
operating
using
range.
the EUV and all the same.
Yeah.
stuff.
It's 99% the same.
Okay.
Just like slightly tweaked design rules to do that, and then after that is 14A, and this is where we get into things like high NA EUV would be an option on that process, and but the idea is that 18A and 18AP, from a foundry perspective, is going to be Intel's cash cow in foundry all the way through until at least they expect the highest volume 18A year, so all of the 18 angstrom family, to be about 2031, 2032.
wow.
So
essentially a repeat of 14 nanometer.
Well, they're saying in not so many words that this is their TSMC 7. TSMC 7 is in everything.
Yeah.
It's still used massively today. They still make billions of dollars every quarter on it.
So it sounds like a good thing.
Yeah. And
So you think Intel's doing good? Is the TLDR here?
Intel's on track.
Okay.
I still want them to announce more customers. I think everybody does.
I think they would like that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to move on. Q&A. This is your time. Hold on. Hold on. Wow. Horrible.
Hey, you got something
job
to do.
here. Yeah,
That's right.
I got a job to do here, people. Are we actually doing?
We can try it.
Okay,
it might not be.
Let's try this. We're doing it live.
Yeah.
You know, F it. We'll do it live
We'll do
here.
it.
Wow.
So yeah, before we get to questions, we need to pause for an ad break.
It's done.
Oh, okay.
Hey, thanks,
hey,
sponsors.
wow, yeah. I didn't hear anything, but hopefully it worked. But yeah, we did it. There was the ads. Not yet. Actually, it's not been turned on yet. So we're laying down the pipe
we're
work.
putting the
At some
foundation
point,
in.
if you listen to this in a couple months, which I don't know why you would, maybe you just want more of Ian.
Is it an ad break
or
or a
maybe
break
you're
ad?
catching up.
Yeah, maybe you're just catching up. Maybe the ad will be there then. Anyway, now it's your time to get questions in. Questions in the chat if you're watching live at the Full Nerd Network. Ask anything you want of Ian. Anything. He'll answer literally anything right now. Elena has
I
one.
have one.
Real quick, but if you're watching or listening to this later, then get down the link in the description. There's a link to our Discord and a channel that says TFN questions. Maybe we'll ask them on upcoming weeks. I mean, Ian won't be here in upcoming weeks, but maybe I'll message him and get an answer back for future episodes. Anyway, first question comes in from one Elena Yee. Hello,
that's
Elena.
me.
Yep.
Hi, Ian.
Hey,
Long-time listener, huge fan.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well, you know what? I would be even more of a fan if you did another one of those like live streams from Hawaii at the cat sanctuary. I think I'm just saying.
Yes, that was fun.
No pressure. That's not the question though. So the question is going back to the previous conversation we had earlier in the show about just the general state with RAM, DRAM, VRAM, and all of that. So one of the selling points of the 9850 X3D that AMD was touting is that like, hey, you can get great performance with this with lower speed RAM, right? Like they're like, hey, 4800 is totally fine. You don't need something faster. It'll still run great. The thing is that when I did the write-up for the site, one of the things I checked was the pricing difference. Right now, there's actually, or when I checked, at least at the launch time, right? So that was like a week and a half ago. The price between DDR5 4800 and DDR5 6000 was pretty much negligible. So I'm wondering, based on what you know, if you anticipate a point where those prices will start to diverge, because I don't know if this is based on the fact that all that was still purchased when the prices were not quite so astronomical.
It's one of the weird things. One of the things in general with chips is sometimes speed and endurance, or the ability to not have an error, it's essentially the same function, right? If you have memory that can go really fast, but you need it to last a long time, you can run it at a slower speed, and it will just last longer and longer and longer and longer. So there is an environment where, because I know we're seeing that high-end memory kits just don't exist anymore. The super high-end, the super premiums, and there may be a situation where the enterprise that are buying this memory want the endurance and are happy to pay for the faster memory and run it at lower speeds. It just gets repackaged and re-JDEC, which means what's left on the consumer market is everything from JDEC to 6000. Going back to my explanation about those binning and parametric curves, the same applies to memory, right? Whether that's 4800, whether that's 6000. And we're at a point now where DDR5 is sufficiently mature, where I expect the yield differential between the two is equal. As in, you don't build for 4800, you build for as fast as you can go, and it just so happens that every part that does 4800 also does 6000, right? So the only point in which that would diverge is if suddenly there was a massive yield differential at the memory vendor. Now, like I say, DDR5 is quite mature at this point. And I remember back when it first came out, the memory vendors were kind of laughing at the base JDEC spec, even though they helped write it, by saying, 4800, that's laughable. We expect to, do near 6000 very quickly, because there's not much of a jump in terms of what we need to do to make that happen. So yeah, and unless the market dynamics change, I expect they would be, equivalent for quite a while. Question is, what can you buy?
Interesting. All right, cool. Thanks for that.
We got a flood of questions. People want to know. They want to scrape your brain. So I'm going to go back a little bit. I don't know if you can really speak to this, but friend of the show, Starscream, has asked a little bit earlier: will Radeon ever stop disappointing gamers?
Wow.
I just read the questions.
Good that they didn't bury the lead.
Yeah.
It's
just asking the questions here.
one of the reasons why I want to speak to David, or I want to get David in front of analysts, is just to understand more where that department is going. Just because it's been, we're wanting to understand what AMD thinks about the direction of its gaming GPU versus its compute GPU. And there's just not a lot of transparency there. They're doing great work on the software side with the new software launches that came through.
Rockham.
So Rockham for AI, but also what was
FSR Redstone.
Redstone.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go. And there were some initial hiccups, but that's been ironed out over time. And they're doing some amazing work there. But that's what's being vocal right now, not the hardware side. And I would like to understand what's going on the hardware side a bit more. But because AMD is the company the size it is, and because data center GPUs are the biggest part of that business, they want to, even if they were to proportionally speak about one market versus the other, you'd expect in a 2-hour presentation there to be about gaming GPUs for 40 seconds. So I will say in the last quarter, their revenue on gaming GPUs was about a quarter of Nvidia's. But for AMD, that also includes semi-custom.
What does semi-custom means? Consoles,
consoles and handhelds,
and Steam Deck.
Yes,
because the other non-Steam Deck handhelds aren't semi-custom; they're just products that they sell.
Well, Z1 I think is probably considered semi-custom.
Yeah,
like the Z series.
Yeah. And part of that is we're in the 7th year of this current generation of consoles, so the revenue there can fluctuate very seasonally. And then, comes down to competitiveness, availability, what people actually want to buy.
Okay. I mean, speaking on the same subject, I don't know if you have any insight into it, but I have a lot of questions, and I've asked AMD multiple times about this. But what do you know about UDNA? What does it mean?
Is UDNA real?
Well, also a lot of people, I feel like it gets talked about a lot, and people have a lot of misconceptions about it.
Right. So one of the benefits NVIDIA's had for a while is that if you buy the $100 NVIDIA GPU, and right,
where?
I used to get a 1080 Ti for $100 at this point. Are you kidding?
I mean, I would pay more for that.
And the idea is that you can write CUDA code for that GPU, and the same code will run at rack scale, right? Because the architecture, with barring some minor slight differences, mostly more support for other instructions at the leading edges, the code is transferable, high end to low end. And this enables a lot of people to learn.
Yeah.
Right, because your point of entry is quite cheap. You could argue that CUDA entry is quite cheap, but AMD entry is quite cheap. But the consumer architecture is different enough from the compute architecture in the data center. That's why we have CDNA versus RDNA.
On the AMD side.
On the AMD side.
Yeah.
So UDNA is the attempt to unify that. So any enhancements made at the data center could benefit consumers, and any consumer benefits can enhance the data center.
But if you run ROCm, if you write ROCm code, can you not run it on both CDNA and RDNA architectures?
You compile to target.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So that's why not all consumer GPUs are supported. And it's only the latest generation, plus they've I wouldn't say struggled. It's taken them time to get Strix Halo support for ROCm.
Got it.
Right.
Because it's RDNA 3.5.
Because it was a gaming part when they initially pitched it.
Yeah.
And we told them, no, this is AI workstation. What are you talking about?
And then suddenly everybody wanted to run models that were bigger than
correct.
Well, then suddenly a lot of people used it for gaming.
Yeah.
yeah. It turns out one benefits the other.
Yeah.
Well, but like 32 gig Strix Halo machine, great for gaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
128 gig Strix Halo machine, great for AI.
And
Massive
gaming.
overkill for gaming.
And the core count stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like it's been putting in handhelds and it's like 16 core, 32 thread.
Well,
you don't need that.
AMD announced at CES a couple more SKUs specifically for AI.
Which I can't wait. Yeah.
So.
All right. We got a ton here. A friend of the show, Samson7294 specifically asks, Ian, is Moore's Law dead? And if it is, will it stay dead and why?
No, it's not dead.
Okay. Why?
Don't believe everything Jensen says.
Okay.
Moore's
Wow, you're smarter than Jensen. Is that what you just said?
Oh no.
Jensen makes more value by saying it's dead. If you speak to everybody else, it's alive. On my channel, I recently interviewed Mark Papermaster, CTO of AMD, and he, I asked him, is Moore's Law dead? And he's like, no. It's important to ask what is Moore's Law meant to represent. For some people, it's transistor density. For other people, it's transistors per chip. For some people,
cost of transistor per
for
wafer.
others, it's
Yeah.
an economic statement, right? And you can argue if the economic statement still holds true. But if you look at the research that's going on transistor density, I did a video last year about one of the big research houses who does this. They have their roadmap out to 2033. And they executed on the last 10 years of roadmap, so there's no reason why the next 10 years shouldn't. And we're talking about gate-all-around improvements, what's beyond gate-all-around, this thing called complementary FETs, and then migrating to 2D transistors. I spoke with a company the other day who's looking into changing the metal interconnect between transistors and copper wires in order to support better scaling across the future. Right? Jim Keller has a great quote on this. From his argument, he works on the architecture. A million other people are going to figure out the scaling thing, right? A million people smarter than Jim Keller, right? There are lots of people working on this. There's a long roadmap on how to advance this. Memory scaling and analog scaling looks like it's slowing down a lot more than logic. But as I said, there are new designs of memory coming forward that might help alleviate that. Analog is getting a massive enhancement through AI design. So things like RF, radio frequency, even things like USB and Thunderbolt. You might think, well, it's just USB Thunderbolt. No, you've actually got to design that in the silicon, and you've got to make sure it works the right way in the analog domain, not the digital domain. The people who work with that are wizards, but AI is doing a massive help to that environment because scaling is non-obvious versus digital. But no, there's lots of scaling going on, and even if we don't have a new EUV technology coming through, there's this talk about X-rays or nano imprint coming through. It's still going to go on.
Look, they're going to find new metals that they can hit with that laser to blast the X-rays into the thing at the speed that they need to carve the
something like
circuits or something.
Well, Peter Jansen says, Ian, you're wrong.
Always.
You're wrong, Ian, because Moore's Law is dead because it specifically talked about having the transistor doubling density per 18 months or so.
Yeah, there are people who would disagree with you on it.
Okay. All right. Sweet.
Because I think it's an economic statement.
Yeah, all right.
The initial definition was tied to cost.
Well, no, he's saying that's wrong. He's saying the initial definition is tied to density.
Yeah.
But it's been a misconception for 20 years,
So
30 years.
my argument is it doesn't matter which definition you pick
Yeah.
because things are getting smaller.
Mm.
We now have chips with 4 trillion transistors.
Is your 5090 faster than your 1080?
Yeah.
If why, Moore's Law not dead.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's from I'm Chris. Do you think hello, they're Chris. Do you think the future we really will be facing is a subscription compute only world where no one owns a PC, we just pay for the access to compute? Which they've talked about dummy terminals for a long
Well,
time.
God, I hope not. But I would point to the automotive industry.
Why so?
Are cars on a subscription model yet?
Well, I mean,
They're working on
certain
it.
features are,
They're
right?
going there.
No, but there'll always be an old clunker you can get.
Oh.
Well,
And how many computers are there now?
hold on. I want to take a step back. 'Cause, if all the cars are self-driving genius cars and we're like interleaving traffic and there's no stoplights anymore, they're not going to let an old clunker drive on the road anymore.
Are you trying to cite iRobot to me?
Look, maybe we're talking about iRobot. There's other references for that.
Wait, the Hot Will Smith joint?
I don't want to talk
so-
about that.
If it happens, it's going to happen after my lifetime.
Okay.
And
And then you don't care.
and
Yeah.
then I don't care. I'll define that
pragmatic.
by how many devices there are already existing.
Okay, fair.
All right. Man, we gotta get through. I'm trying to pick and choose which one's interesting. I don't even know if this one's a good one, but I'm gonna ask it. Dr. Slacker, no, DZ Slacker asked, Dr. Ian, do you know when Samsung Fab in Taylor, Texas will be fully operational? Do you think that will help the RAM crisis? I don't even know about this.
No, that's a compute. That's a logic fab, not a memory fab.
Making chips for phones
Um,
and stuff. Washing
yeah.
machines.
Yeah, I believe they want to do Samsung 4 nanometer at that fab, or at least the first stage of that. And they should be, I believe they've started high volume ramp. The thing is, I'm at least in contact with Samsung Foundry in the US. Samsung typically does a Foundry event every year. Unfortunately, last year it was closed to press and analysts. The year before was open to 3 press and analysts, of which I was one. The team there know that I want to be a lot more heavily involved in what's being discussed. Unfortunately, that team is at the whims of their Korean counterparts in terms of what they can and can't say.
Home office.
Yeah. But the team that they've got there, they're building it. It's full of great people, and every time I see them, they're more than willing to chat, both on and off the record. And I spend my time voicing my concerns / requirements / thoughts that I'm getting from speaking to everyone.
The people who buy the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe it's in the process of going through, volume certification. So, we might see chips by the end of the year coming out.
Okay.
You might not know whether your chip is made in Taylor versus Korea.
Well, but presumably if you're in the U.S. and there's a tariff situation, I don't know what the tariff situation with Korea right now is because it changes on somebody's whim.
The thing is, it might be mixed, right?
Yeah.
Because AMD has this problem because they make some of their EPIC chiplets now in Arizona, right? They still have to go outside the U.S. to be packaged, which is funny enough. But it means that their stock and their supply, you'll have some made in USA parts.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have some made in Taiwan parts. Whether they actually designate separate SKUs or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
Or they may be for specific customers. For example, like a Boeing. If a Boeing is making a data center, they might request a US-only part. And so that you may not even know.
Here we go, one from friend of the show, PS1 Freak. Why is the 60 series allegedly delayed? Shouldn't they be rushing the GPUs while AI hasn't popped?
No, because one of the things I've always said, when you have at least a 1 generation performance advantage over the competition, is why would you rush? The reason why Intel didn't rush 4 cores for so long is because they could milk it.
Microsoft didn't roll out the Xbox 360 a year before the PS3 because they were winning.
So yeah, it's it does fall back on the consistent narrative that Nvidia doesn't care as much about gamers now, and to be honest, I think it's more of a competitive economics thing more than anything else.
Okay. Mr. Geester. No, me Geester. I don't know how to say this. ARM on client. What do we have to look forward to in 2026 aside from Apple?
Buy more Sparks.
Oh, yeah. Just keep buying those DGX Sparks.
I saw, I think it was the Asus Ascend GX10. That's their variant with a 1 terabyte, 128 gigs of memory, 1 terabyte SSD was $3,000 at Central Computers. If you wanted the 4 terabyte one, it was $4,000.
Jeez. Okay.
We don't know the extent to which Qualcomm Snapdragon will be in mini PCs because they just launched the next generation.
Yeah.
That may filter down into mini PCs through this year through partners, depending on how effective Qualcomm is able to collaborate with Western partners. And I say that because a lot of their reference designs are built with Eastern partners that we've never heard of in the West.
Okay.
Like
Do you think that
a company called Longcheer.
Okay. Should we have heard of them?
Exactly. No knows who they are. But I saw
it.
at least 2 reference designs by Longcheer.
Interesting.
Do you think that the work that Valve's doing with their new VR headset, the FEX stuff to emulate x86 on ARM, is going to be impactful on these spaces?
Not really.
Okay.
Homebrew maybe.
Okay. Schmitty, friend of the show, Schmitty asks, what will AMD's Sea of Wires, INFOOS, bring us?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
So is it Sea of Wires? This is so UCIe, Universal Chiplet Interconnect Express, is a new standard that helps put chips close to each other so they communicate at high speed.
Okay.
Intel is using this on Wildcat Lake, funnily enough. It's UCIe between the CPU die and the I/O die.
So they're not using Foveros on
No,
that.
they're not using Foveros. They're not using EMIB.
Huh.
It's designed to go through package as well.
Because Wildcat Lake is one compute die and then just the low power I/O die.
Correct.
Okay.
And UCIe is starting to come out in a bunch of other products who don't want to use advanced packaging because of the cost of advanced packaging. Bunch of wires, sorry, it's not sea of wires, bunch of wires is a superset technology of UCIe that's designed to support longer range. And the reason why it didn't come through as the standard in UCI was decided as the main standard is just because of the people behind it. A bunch of wires exists. And the idea is that you could have HBM stacked one behind the other on your compute die. So rather than it just being one line of HBMs, you could have two lines of HBMs, but also two lines of compute chiplets. You combine that with something like info packaging. At this point, it's almost like Lego bricks. It's like building a PC. Which PCIe device do you put in? Which memory do you put in?
Seems more complicated than that to me.
It is. And there's more money goes behind deciding what to do when. But part of it is optionality as well. If you use different packaging, then maybe you can get around some of the packaging limitations that we spoke about earlier in the show.
Hey, I have a question from friend of the show, Will Smith, Adam.
Oh,
Can I
wow.
ask
The
him?
Will Smith?
Yeah, the
Dang.
Will Smith.
Oh,
He builds computers?
Yeah, he has free time these days, it turns out.
Oh, okay.
Do you think that AMD is going to make a dual Vcache 9950 X3D?
You mean one on each chiplet?
Yeah.
One on each chiplet.
The practical person in me says no. Sometimes these companies, if they have somebody in an executive position who is steadfast in doing something,
Yeah, it just happens.
it just happens.
Okay.
That's how Threadripper happened, by the way,
Oh,
right? Because a couple of people inside the company said, we should do this, and then got told, go work on it then.
okay.
And it got to a point where actually it made sense to go
it was
do it.
good, it turned out.
Yeah, and there was a lot of reuse of functionality, and then they built a team around it, and then that person left, and suddenly Threadripper gets less attention.
Yeah. Well, but this also seems to be a really weird like, is somebody in there wanting to die on this hill? Like, I mean, this seems like a weird hill to be like, yeah, I want to champion this specific thing.
Hey, different strokes and all
Okay. All right.
Why don't they make compute chips with more than 8 cores?
that. It's you have to decide what's the right level for how big your die is
Wait.
for your yield.
Did the lines on the spreadsheet cross at 8? Is that
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens?
Basically.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Where the lines cross, the money is highest.
Okay, that makes sense.
That may change in the future depending on how big cores are and what the configuration is and how they're built
Yeah.
and whatever.
I know you like the tiny cores, the C cores. Yeah, you want all C cores. Yeah,
It's
or E
There's a
cores.
long discussion I could have about P cores and E cores and C cores
Yeah.
about what's relevant and what's not.
YJ9959 asks, since backside power delivery involves metallization on both sides of the wafer, could this process also be used to build a tiny vapor chamber right on the die as an IHS alternative? Wow. Huh.
Given the amount of discussions I've had in the last 6 months about people growing all sorts of stuff on wafers, sure.
Wait, so like
oh, wait, is the follow-up question like, is it advisable?
I suspect one of the limitations of growing thing on a wafer is just how tall you can grow it, and it may not be sufficient for a proper vapor chamber. But in chip cooling, something IBM did massive research in the 90s and 2000s. If anybody's going to do intra-chip, so between layers of chips, for example, they're going to have to knock on IBM and license a patent.
what's the weirdest thing somebody suggested growing on a CPU in the last 6 months?
Mold, penicillin.
Optical transceivers.
Oh, for communication off of the die.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Interesting.
Switching, it turns out, a huge business. Who knew?
Yeah.
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 A couple more and we'll get out of here. Friend of the show, Tactical Tug, asks, speaking of Threadripper, what's your take on the AM5 socket EPIC CPUs for a home NAS/server build compared to other AM5 chips?
Well, they're essentially equivalent. They just got more
Power.
Yeah. Well, no, they're no, because these are essentially consumer chips that are labeled EPIC.
so they clock
these
down-
ones. Yeah, okay. I remember. They're socketable.
The idea
yeah.
is that when you sell them, so for example, if you sell into the embedded space, expects that you have a 36-month support of Linux image support, sort of thing, or ECC is a definite support rather than a if it works, it works sort of thing. So that's the only difference there.
I got to say, it's a little unsettling when I go to the EPIC on AM5 page and they list up to 16 Zen 5 with quotes around it.
Yeah.
Does it mean they're not really Zen 5?
Some of them might be Zen 5C.
5-ish?
Zen 5C.
Okay.
No one can, pretty much sums it up. AM5 EPIC is just more about certification. Yeah. Okay. We got one very serious one over here from friend of the show, Brian. Assuming 10 nanometer / 12 nanometer ASML lithography is mainly used. Lithography. Sorry, I'm getting hungry.
I got you.
Thank you. Is mainly used for DDR5 DRAM fabbing. In theory, could TSMC and IFS reprovision older fab capacity towards DRAM production, or do the current booked capacity? I think you get the question.
Yeah. So DRAM, or at least how most DRAM is built, is different to logic. So in logic, you're building up layer by layer. You have some transistors, you do some etch, you do some litho, you do some cleaning, you do some polishing, whatever. And it's a very complex process until you get to the metal stack. With DRAM, you're essentially trying to build layers of memory cells on top of each other. But when you do that, you then have to etch all the way down for your communication. Are we still going?
I think that was the desktop
Okay.
PC. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
And so there's this concept of aspect ratio. Right.
Oh, like 16 by 9.
Yeah. So
4 by 3.
Except in DRAM, you deal with aspect ratios of 100 to 1.
Ooh.
And the idea is
That's a wide frame.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to watch that. That seems like you'd be like,
It's the new IMAX experience,
it's
100
like
to
the
1.
Virtual Boy style. Just
Oh,
flip
yeah,
the
yeah.
back and forth the mirrors.
so
Okay, now I'm in.
when you're doing things like bit lines and word lines and however it's reduced, you need to be able to put the right metals in the right order in high aspect ratios, and that's a very tough physical problem to have, and there are specialist tools to do that.
I bet they're cheap, right?
They're not used in logic.
Oh.
So that's one of the reasons why a memory fab has a slightly different equipment and different ratios of equipment.
See, Ian, this is why we need to make the game, the Fab Manager game.
Yeah.
Like it's like Factorio, but for making fabs.
Or
Fabtorio.
Theme Hospital.
Yeah, but for fabs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will say I like management sims.
Yeah.
I can tell why.
But management sims, yes. Industrial automation sims,
Yeah.
get them the hell away from me because I will lose weeks of my life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's not good for you. It's like this is why the business has to be
it's
making
good for
the
you
game.
and also not good for you. Yeah.
I mean, even simple ones like there's this game called Shapes,
Yeah, Shapes is great.
where you get numbers and you have to
Yep.
multiply and add and get them in the right thing.
Do you make spreadsheets to support your habit?
You have no many games that I currently play that are just spreadsheet simulators.
I once burned 4 iPad batteries in one day playing Shapes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have built web apps to support
you
some
go.
of my addictions here.
How many layers is your Satisfactory factory? And that's what I want to know.
So I haven't played Satisfactory or Factorio. It's just even
Probably
the simple
best.
ones.
Probably best.
And some of these applets that I make are vibe coded as well.
Oh no.
Okay. Well,
back out.
Yeah, we're going to stop the show. I got 2 more personal questions for you. And we're going to get out of here. Zaytezolvolk 201
Nailed it.
Are you still sponsored or still an independent? I've seen that 30-minute YouTube's commercial. Somebody paid a buttload.
Which 30-minute YouTube commercial?
I have no idea. Are you on the? Yeah.
So my role today is I'm an industry analyst and consultant. Companies hire me to provide technical marketing consultancy services to deal, with what's coming up in their future and help them find the right way to speak to enthusiasts about it, whether that's consumer enthusiasts, whether that's enterprise engineers. So my clients today are Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, IBM.
I've never heard of those companies.
And Synopsys, Cadence, and I have a few of the AI startups. So I provide services for them. The other part of my business, which is probably about 20%, is YouTube. And on YouTube, I do have sponsored content. Some of that sponsored content is from my clients who use me as a consultant, and some of it isn't. Everything that I put online that is sponsored content that I directly receive money for is fully listed right in the first 5 seconds. It will say sponsored by.
And in the descriptions and stuff too, right?
So in the description is every company I've ever taken money from.
Oh.
Right. So you can have it. So even if I did $5,000 from TSMC for some project I did with them, and I've never done, and if I never did anything with them again, they would still be listed until the end of time on that list. Now, don't get me wrong, TSMC sponsor a couple of videos a year, talking about different parts of their business. Part of it is I've got a very engineering focused audience, and they want to have access to that. But also, when I do a lot of these sponsored videos, I'm making sure these days it's such that it is educational for the people that watch. So it's not just a product showcase or a fact sheet or a rollout. There have been some in the past where I look back on it and I go, actually, yeah, that does feel more like an infomercial than the educational stuff. Because sometimes the education is, what are these companies' products? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to change that around. And based on some of the effort that I've had in the last 6 months, I'm actually looking to do less sponsored content like that unless it really makes sense. So, for example, I've currently got a contract with Intel to do a deep dive into their advanced packaging, EMIB, Foveros, to help align with comparative technologies from other foundries, because I think that's slightly lost in the market exactly where people sit in the comparison.
I feel like that the kind of chiplet or system of chips, depending which vendor you're talking about,
mm-hmm.
how the glue that holds those together is something that people in the enthusiast space really don't understand at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wildly complicated, and it has an enormous impact on,
it's a good topic. Or they understand one company's technology implicitly and don't know what the comparative is to others. We're working on this, and I don't have many ad spot runs on videos, and that's just because the companies that want to engage with me, none of them really do ad spots in the same way, or it'd be very limited. So I would love it if it was more ad spot based than sponsored video based. Just for the upkeep of the channel, you've got to fund what you're doing to a certain degree.
But it turns out the people who are talking to the engineers like this, it's not worth their time to make a packaged video ad that they would run. It's easier for them to talk to you and make something. Yeah, that makes sense.
In the last 6 months, I think I did 4 or 5 videos with clients who have never worked with an influencer before. So this is their first engagement.
Are you the world's only analyst influencer?
Yeah. Don't.
Anal Fleur?
Nope. Last
you gotta
question.
Pronounce it right. It's very important to put the emphasis on the right syllable.
I mean, it's one thing I will want to say to people is, if you feel like I'm veering too much into infomercial, or you've got ideas or suggestions, I'm more than open. Right. A lot of equivalents in my space are very closed. Yeah. They don't disclose anything. And if the FCC caught them, whether they're big enough to actually take any action or whatever. So I want to keep it as open as possible, because that's the only way I operate. I always say, don't trust me, right? Everything I say should be verifiable externally, and I maintain that. I'm trying to distill it. I'm hoping I'm educating, but at any point, please do go do your own research as well.
There you go. Boom. Last question.
Influencerless?
Nope. Greg Regrovich asks, what's Ian's PhD in? I feel like I've asked you this before, but I don't remember.
Yeah, so it's computational chemistry.
Oh, so that's why they're talking to you about growing things.
Yeah. So
okay.
My undergraduate was chemistry. The way the British system works is you can do a program that is a 4-year where you come out with a master's. So I technically don't have a bachelor's.
Oh, that's nice.
So because a STEM bachelor's in the UK is 3 years, and a master's is either a 1 or 2 year program, and they just combine it all into one.
Huh.
So I did I did a master's in 4, then a PhD in 3.
See, here we do the master's PhD and jam them together, which is goofy too.
It's because I did no teaching during my postgraduate either. So I did research papers. What the specific topic is, I introduced an area of chemistry called electrochemistry into the concept of parallel programming. So it was about this time where it was CUDA 1.0. And I have 6 research papers introducing CUDA into this area of chemistry.
Cool.
There is a live stream on my channel. It's like 4 years old now, where I go into my full thesis end to end. It's almost as long as this stream.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, we should wrap it up. That is a great spot to end, Ian. Check back next week for your fix of PC Talk here on The Full Nerd. If you want to catch us live, we're on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, The Full Nerd Network. So youtube.com/@TheFullNerdNetwork. Where you can catch us live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific-ish. We will be there straight to you live, but that's okay. If you want to watch us later, obviously the video is still up on YouTube, but you can also get the RSS feed at anywhere you can point your RSS feeds to. I'm not even going to list off the list anymore. I don't care. But also you can read this. Well, you can't read this podcast, but you can read articles or thoughts that pertain to people. If you're interested in this podcast, you go over. Crap. What's the URL? What was the bit.ly?
The new tiny URL
is it pinned?
No, I didn't pin it. I just put it in the chat.
Oh, no.
Good
Crap.
luck.
Okay.
Godspeed.
Well,
bit.ly.com/
No, you get a tiny URL.
Oh, you did a tiny URL. Yeah.
tinyurl.com. Yeah, bit.ly you have to have an account for now.
Okay. Well, you can definitely go to PCWorld.com/newsletters.
TFN-newsletter.
Hold on. You can go to.
Is that a tiny URL?
Yeah. No, it's a. Yes.
Just
I
Google
found it. I found it.
Okay. Thank you.
I found it.
Real quick. If you want the long one just for fun, it's PCWorld.com/newsletters/sign up. But if it's the short one, Elena.
It is tinyurl.com/TFN-newsletter.
Okay.
No S.
No S. Okay.
No S.
Love it. Great. Is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, yeah. If you want to listen to Linux experts, well, we have a podcast.
The whole point of it
you.
is that we're not experts. We explicitly say at the top of every episode, we are not experts.
No. But we can't tell them that, though. We want to get them over there.
I'm not allowed to pin stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. No, you're not. For good reason. Dual Boot Diaries. Dual Boot Diaries. We're talking about that. And also, man, I mean, listen, there's been things that have happened this week, so maybe the plan changes a little bit, but as far as I can hope, the launch of the new podcast with me and Russ from Retro Game Corps is imminent. Like, it is imminent.
Do we know what the name is yet?
I don't think I've publicly said what the name is yet.
Underwear Gamers? You were walking in the desert like in Breaking Bad. I think.
Like under there?
Yeah. Underwear.
Got it. Got him. I got a funny story for you after
It's in the
this.
teaser.
Well, but not
fully.
But not fully. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Adam, is your LinkedIn now just podcaster?
What? Podcaster? Should it be? There you go. Maybe,
3 podcasts.
Yeah. There you go. Go check out my LinkedIn at linkedin.com/podcaster. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. I want to thank Elena for being on the TV, wearing her Valentine's Day outfit.
Thanks for
It's
being
Valentine's
festive.
Day.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, Galentine's Day.
Boom. Love it. I want to thank Ian for stopping by. Always a good time. I mean, we could talk for hours, but at some point we need to drain our bladders.
We didn't even mention the Super Bowl.
That's fine. That's okay. Yeah. You were here for that. Is that what you were? Oh, okay. So now we know why he was here. Thank you.
I didn't have a
Ian.
ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know. Maybe Computex. I mean, maybe you'll be out
for
here.
sure. Computex.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm in town for GTC.
Oh yeah.
GTC.
Okay.
GTC.
Yeah, but that's down
Then.
south. You don't really come up
No, not
to
for
San
that.
Francisco during
No.
that. Yeah, and we
Oh.
usually definitely don't go down for that. But yeah, I also want to thank Will.
Hey,
thanks
Adam.
for trimming your upper lip. I can see your upper lip.
You can see my mouth. It's not all shaded anymore.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
much better. I don't
Yeah.
look gummy Joe.
Yeah, that upper lip.
I forgot to talk about the mouse, but that's fine. We'll talk about it
What
next
what
week.
mouse?
It's too late now.
Okay,
We're
it's
at
too
the
late.
outs.
Yeah, we're at the outs. Anyway, I also want to thank Alex for manning the verticals and horizontals, especially despite the circumstances. I appreciate it. And why don't you get us out of here?
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. And a special shout out, of course, to Willis Lai. Once again, thanks, buddy. We all miss you.
Miss you, man.
Be nice to each other out there and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.
Were you confused that the ball was pointy?
Why is that ball pointing? That hurts.